The events took place in an arena high in the heavens. The master declared that even if Li Fu-chen trained for another 10 years, he would not surpass the master. After falling once again, the master mocked Fu-chen, who lost after 3 steps. A year had passed, and Li Yun-hee had defeated Li Fu-chen for the 7th time. The main character began to rise again, listening to the mockery of his peers. Last year, Fu-chen was considered a genius, but now, he was considered worthless. The fight was over a girl named Guan Shui. Li Yongxi told the protagonist that it would be better if he gave up Guan Shui, as such trash was not worthy of her. Towards nightfall, the main character returned to his home and tried to cultivate. Falling to the ground, the guy asked why it was so difficult to simply cultivate. Coughing up blood, Li Fu-chen was pained to realize that in a world where only the strong are respected, those who are not gifted are nothing but trash. The next morning, Li Fu-chen left his residence and wandered around the courtyard in nature. He overheard the master saying that the couple was still young, so it was too early to talk about marriage at this point. The Guan family wanted to break off the engagement. The master added that his daughter, Tian Hanxun, was smart and talented. She was able to reach the 6th stage of the Guan family's Shui Yu Ju, which stunned the main character. Therefore, his daughter was accepted as a disciple into the Kang La sect, and marriage became impossible. The Guan family no longer needed such a person, and from that moment on, they went their separate ways, leaving Li Fu-chen with nothing. Having lost everything, Li Fu-chen disgraced the Li family. Standing on the edge of the abyss, the young man thought that this was human nature. If one day he could pierce the clouds with a single blow, then Li Fu-chen could die without regrets. As he was about to leave the edge of the cliff, he turned around and noticed that the clouds were beginning to disperse. As soon as the main character turned around again, a ray of sunlight shot into Li Fu-chen's face. 2 perverts were groping the girl, and she was begging someone to save her, while the masters tried to convince her not to scream. Suddenly, a master on horseback arrived at the scene, and the girl asked the main character to save her. The perverts decided to attack all at once, as they outnumbered the main character many times over, but he easily dealt with them. Having become the savior of these women, they idolized the main character, calling him a wonderful hero. Li Fu-chen woke up, and it turned out to be a dream. He was happy because it was a wonderful dream. Imagining what had happened, he couldn't believe that it was really his body. The sensations were different from what they had been before. After the strange dream, the main character noticed a strange golden talisman on his neck, but he didn't care. The main character passed by Li Yun-hee, who was training with the masters, watching his progress with envy. Li Yun-hee approached him, saying that he had just broken through to the 5th level of Kai during training, offering to spar with him and switch places. The main character refused to spar, and the arrogant master declared that trash would always be trash. Returning home, Li Fu-chen began training and easily broke through to the 4th level of the Red Jade technique. He also achieved a low level of the Huang class, the palm technique, the palm that shatters stones. The second technique was also from the low level of the Huang class, the sword technique, Tiger Fang's cross strike. During these 5 days, the protagonist was able to develop greatly. Now, he will show the entire city of Cloud Mist that it is not worth messing with the Li family. Based on his current learning abilities, he didn't know if the guy would be able to quickly learn to wield a mid-level sword. Armed with his sword and techniques, the protagonist proceeded to the nearest tree. He began to swing his blade, cutting through the foliage in his path, each time cutting it into even smaller pieces. Li Fu-chen had to make the sword become one with the wind, make the ki unite with the wind. 10 days later, the protagonist's progress had improved significantly, but speed would not interfere with his success in sword technique. Li Fu-chen walked across the training ground again, where Li Yun-hee continued to train. Li Yun-hee offered to spar with him again, but the protagonist said he was no match for him. The guy started to smirk, saying that it was indeed the funniest joke, but Li Fu-chen interrupted him. The main character asked him if Li Yun-hee was sure he wanted to mess with him. The arrogant master told him to stop talking nonsense and draw his sword. Li Yun-hee said that Fu-chen would be perfect for practicing his new technique, the art of the Zhushang sword. The master began to swing his sword, but his attacks proved useless. The main character clearly saw all the flaws in his technique. Due to Fu-chen's lightness of movement, Yun-hee lost his excessive confidence and began to swing his sword thoughtlessly. The main character said that now it was his turn to attack, and with one swing of his palm, he struck Yun-hee in the chest. The force of the attack was terrifying, tearing the clothes on the boy's chest and throwing him back, causing the young master to vomit blood. The battle did not go unnoticed by spectators, and soon everyone learned of Fu-chen's success in battle. Before the end of the duel, the main character said that Yun-hee had never been his equal, asking the young man to take care of himself. When Li Fu-chen returned to his residence, the Li family was delighted, everyone proclaiming that he had regained his talent. Towards evening, the hero was able to reach a new level of Red Jade technique, being at the 4th level. But as soon as he concentrated his strength, the guy made a breakthrough, raising his technique to the 5th level. Next, he decided to complete the art of the Shaoshang sword, which the main character managed to do in 9 days. The whirlwind leg arts were completed in 3 days, entering the 5th slot of Li Fu-chen's training. Having learned new techniques, the main character decided to start training his combat skills. The cloudy, misty hills, where beasts and monsters reign, are surrounded by first-rank monsters, whose abilities are equal to those of a chi practitioner, not to mention the second-rank beasts, which are capable of killing practitioners at the origin stage. As soon as Li Fu-chen entered the forest, some beasts began to watch him, choosing the moment to attack. Not far ahead, snakes rushed to attack the main character, but his reaction was quick enough to grab the beast by the throat. It was a low-class, first-rank beast, a green snake. It was poisonous, and Fu Chen would die if it bit him. He quickly lost interest in the snake, and the protagonist's attention fell on a kiwi flower that glowed brightly before his eyes. The hero quickly reached it and put the flower in a small box. It could be sold for 2 gold coins. Next to the flower, a monster was already waiting for him, an iron-boned red wolf, looming for an attack. The main character decided not to run away from the beast, but instead to accept the battle with dignity, drawing his sword to attack. With just one attack, he defeated the monster. In addition to his great skill in martial arts, Fu Chen earned about 20 gold coins. The main character came to the market and heard a girl complaining about the increase in the price of a bracelet over the month. The guy recognized her as Xiao Dai, who had always supported him. Fu Chen approached the stall and wanted to find out what was going on. Xiao Dai didn't want to tell the truth, saying that nothing special had happened. The main character understood what had happened, took out a bunch of gold coins, and paid the merchant, telling the girl not to worry about it. The delighted girl promised Fu Chen that she would repay him in kind when the opportunity arose. Suddenly, Guan Shui's cousin, Guan Wei, snatched the bracelet from Xiao Dai's hands, saying that it now belonged to her. The main character told Guan Wei to give the bracelet back because he had paid for it for Xiao Dai. Guan Wei asked the protagonist how much he wanted for the bracelet, saying that she could pay double the price. The cousin's family broke off the engagement, spreading rumors. They had already crossed all boundaries and left Fu Chen on the brink. Li Fu Chen did not want to accept these bribes and shouted at Guan Wei to return the bracelet. The scream frightened his cousin, and she dropped the bracelet from her hands, which the main character easily caught with his foot. The main character took Xiao by the hand and began to leave, while his cousin wondered how he dared to yell at her. Guan Wei stood in front of Fu Chen, deciding that today was the day she would teach him a lesson. Suddenly, they attacked each other. Fu Chen used a crushing stone palm, while Guan Wei used a soft water palm. But as it turned out, in the battle between 2 4th-level practitioners, the main character defeated her. The 4th genius of the Yang family, Yang Qi, managed to grab his aunt. Guan Wei lied that they had stolen her bracelet. Yang Qi began to ask about what had happened. The main character asked him to first understand the whole situation. Xiao took Fu Chen's hand and asked him to leave Yang Qi alone, saying that the girl would be fine without the bracelet. Yang Qi declared that the main character had to apologize to Guan Wei and then return the bracelet. Otherwise, he would be in trouble. Fu Chen asked the guy if he really thought he could take the bracelet from him on his own. People began to gather, calling out to others. Noticing that the Yang and Li families were starting to fight, the genius brothers of the Yang family, Yang Yonghe and Yang Yonghai, arrived, noticing that Fu Chen had gone mad, daring to fight Yang Qi. Yang Qi decided to attack him quickly, swinging his arm and shouting that Li Fu Chen would lose. He used the 6th-level QE practitioner technique, Silver Snake, a 4th-level technique. The main character counterattacked with the 5th level, Red Jade. Yang Qi began to swing his snake palm, but none of his attacks reached their target. Now it was Fu Chen's turn to counterattack, and he used his stone-crushing palm. The protagonist's attack threw Yang Qi back, and as he flew through the air, he thought he was hallucinating. Fu Chen, once weak, had thrown him back. Yang Yunhai watched the fight and noticed that Yang Qi was superior in sword technique, but not in hand-to-hand combat. Yang Qi decided to take extreme measures, using the sword technique, the snake blade. The main character noticed that he was even more vulnerable when it came to fencing. The next moment, Li Fu Chen drew his blade and held it to Yang Qi's neck, causing him to stop in fear of death. The smug master pointed his blade at the main character and said that he was cheating. Li Fu Chen turned around and decided to kick Yang Qi with his whirlwind leg technique, confident of his victory. Guan Wei rushed to her brother, fearing for his life, but Li Fu Chen convinced her that he was still alive. Yang Yunhai told the main character that he was asking for trouble, along with his Li family. The main character replied that people pay for their sins, and no one had the right to lecture him. The young master believed that there would always be someone stronger than him, and someone even stronger than that. If he were in front of his family, the guy would prove whether he was worthy of lecturing him. Li Fu Chen decided not to fall for this provocation, took Xiao Dai, and they began to leave. The next day, Fu Chen continued to train, but his progress was still too slow. He needed to earn more money and get some practitioner accessories, which would definitely speed up the process. While he was training, the protagonist noticed a stone with a small sprout on it, stone heartgrass. As soon as the main character tried to approach the rock, the corpse of a bloody shadow leopard flew through it. He managed to draw a sword, noticing that he was faster than the enemy's attack. Looking away, the main character noticed the arrows flying towards him, only when they were right in front of his eyes. 3 arrows hit him, and Li Fu Chen had no time to dodge them and fell to the ground. Before attacking the young man, the 3 archers were hiding in the bushes and spotted Li Fu Chen. This was their only chance. Li Fu Chen had seriously wounded the young master, and they would definitely be rewarded if they killed him. They immediately drew their bows. Fortunately, the main character had enough reaction speed to avoid being wounded by the arrows. If he had hesitated for another second, he would have been dead. He noticed the archers. These people were not simple. Fu Chen had to strike first and kill at least one of them. The next thing the archers noticed was that the main character was standing in front of them, his hand on the hilt of his sword. With a single swing of his sword, Li Fu Chen managed to kill one of the archers who had attacked him. The bald warrior immediately attacked him, striking the ground with his weapon, but the main character jumped back. With his second attack, the archer attacked with a triple slash, and Li Chen realized that he was one of the Yang family. The main character began to slide along the ground, dodging the triple slash of the Yang family members. Sliding forward, the main character took advantage of the opportunity and cut the warrior's leg. The archer couldn't believe it. The highest level he could achieve was the 5th level of Ki, like him, and no one at the 8th level of Ki could defeat him. The bald master wanted to send him to hell, starting to swing his sword around him with crazy wind blades. As soon as he opened his eyes, the warrior noticed that his second ally had been killed by Li Chen. Before he could comprehend what had happened, the protagonist seized the moment and killed the last archer. There was another master in the bushes who couldn't believe that Li Chen was a true genius. But, be that as it may, he had already gotten what he wanted, so it was time to leave. As soon as the master dropped to the ground, the main character asked him if he could still escape. Already on edge, the warrior asked in return if Fu Chen could stop him. Thanks to the red jade blade technique, the main character easily defeated the master. The man gave Fu Chen a blue crystal ring. They would be happy to see him again next time. A little fame, and the attitude of people who looked down on him had now completely changed. Guan Wei's brother, Guan Peng, a 6th level Qi practitioner with a 2-star style, stood in the protagonist's way and asked him to go with him. He didn't understand why, but Guan Peng added that he had contacted his sister, and that was a compelling reason. The main character added that he should know what kind of person his sister was. Peng asked him to stop talking, asking if he really wanted to embarrass himself in front of everyone else. Representatives of the 4 major families were starting another quarrel. Last time it was Yang Qi, this time it was Guan Peng. It was an uneven battle. Guan Peng had a 2-star skeleton and could reach the origin stage. The main character was confident, saying that the Guan family was deceiving themselves, calling it shameless. Guan Peng could no longer tolerate these insults, so he decided to attack with a flurry of palm strikes. Li Chen soared into the air and began to counterattack with a flurry of kicks. Guan Peng's palm technique, smooth water, collided with Li Chen's leg technique, the whirlwind strike. The flurry of attacks ended, and the protagonist jumped back, surprising the audience that he was able to block all the blows. Li Chen was confident, calling his 2-star skeleton element useless. The masters clashed again in attack. The final stage of the smooth water palm technique, Jiao Shui Mian Mian, and the final stage of the whirlwind leg technique, Feng Yuan Qian Yuan. Guan Peng realized that he couldn't attack the main character, so he switched to defense. Guan Peng had to resort to critical measures and draw his blade. Fu Chen was able to easily jump back. The young master decided to go on the offensive again, lunging with his blades and telling Fu Chen to die. The main character drew his sword in response and swung it to counter Guan Peng's attack. He raised his sword above his head and swung it again, aiming at Guan Peng to attack. Guan Peng fell to his knees from the impact of the swords clashing, barely blocking the blow. Yan Wu, the city lord of the Shentu family, Shentu Liang, asked Fu Chen to show mercy and be compassionate. The city lord added that it was only a contest of strength. There was no need to go so far, and it would be better for him to apologize to Guan Peng. The protagonist was surprised by such insolence and said that he had no intention of doing so. Shentu Liang's expression quickly changed, and he asked Fu Chen if he would apologize out of respect for him. The protagonist revealed that it was not a matter of respect, but that he was not worthy of his apology, and he was a busy man. The city lord was surprised that he called the 2-star skeleton weak. Fu Chen was definitely strong now, but in the future, he would not be his equal. With the purchase of new items, the protagonist's progress doubled, and now he needed to take stone heartgrass to strengthen his bones. 3 days later, Fu Chen realized that with his development, first-rank beasts would die from a single blow, so it was time for the genius tournament. He heard the man negotiating something, saying that his Fu Chen was born with a normal bone structure, but despite this, he learned quickly. Only one person could enter the strengthening pool, which opened once every 2 years. The practitioners there could reach the top 3 in the tournament. The man replied that the owner of a normal bone skeleton had no future. For example, his son Li Yuanhai had a double bone skeleton, which was more suitable for entering the strengthening pool. If they only looked at the bone skeleton, then Kang La would choose her students based on the skeleton, and then the tournament would be useless. The elders continued to argue about Li Yuanhai and Li Chen, who should enter the pool. The main character personally entered the palace and asked the elders to allow Li Yuanhai to enter the strengthening pool. The elder, who was fiercely rooting for Fu Chen, was surprised by this nonsense and immediately demanded an explanation. First, the main character stated that Li Yuanhai was the best candidate, and he did not want the Li family to take any risks. He was also confident that even without the strengthening pool, he would be able to enter the top 5 in the tournament and join the Kang La sect. The elder could not go against his determination, so he agreed to the young man's decision. A little later, the main character went into the forest to train, enveloping himself in an aura. He stood in front of a huge boulder. With one swift movement, he took a step forward and lifted the entire stone above his head. It was said that the strengthening pool could increase physical strength, but he was not so weak either. Fu Chen spent the whole day training, and towards evening he switched to meditation. Trying his best, gems appeared around him, signifying a breakthrough to the 6th level of the Red Jade technique. To test his increased strength, the protagonist waited until morning and went outside, taking a small stone in his hands. He was able to easily crush the stone into pieces. The explosive power of Ki increased 3 times higher than the 5th level. The time had finally come, Now he could obtain the high-level yellow class of sword technique. Fu Chen went to the library and said he wanted to learn the red jade sword technique. The elder replied that, as a rule, high-level martial arts require too much effort, and only those who have reached the 7th level of ki practice or higher study them. The young man insisted that the tournament was coming soon, and he wanted to learn it so he could understand more about swords. Nevertheless, the elder handed him the book, as he was the smartest of them all, hoping that it would help the young genius. At that time, Li Yuan had already managed to lift a stone weighing 750 pounds. Li Fu Chen was passing by at that moment, and the master, as usual, offered him a fight, thinking that perhaps he could withstand a few of his blows. The main character said that the tournament was approaching, and his chance would come. Due to his strengthening, the young master was no longer afraid of Fu Chen. Since Li Fu Chen refused the opportunity to enter the strengthening pool, he had no chance. A few days later, the disciples from other major families returned. Guan Peng, Shen Tu Yue Li, Shen Tu Liang Li, Yang Hao, and Yang Kai each tried to lift the stone and achieved different results. Soon, his father entered the room and wanted to give Fu Chen a scarlet snow pill, surprising the young master. These snow pills cost thousands of gold coins, which he thought was too much for him. His father told him that he had missed the opportunity to enter the strengthening pool, so this could be considered compensation. Even if he had to use all his fortune, he wished the protagonist success. Fu Chen asked his father not to worry. He would definitely become one of the Kang La sect. After taking the pill, the main character began to train and meditated continuously for 2 hours. After a long struggle, the core of his power began to rise and gradually break apart. Waving his arms, he released a wave of power around himself, breaking through to the 6th level of ki cultivation. While the scarlet snow pill was still effective, the protagonist wanted to reach the middle level at once. The next day, Fu Chen continued to train vigorously to reach the next level under the effect of the enhancement. His parents noticed that their son had broken through to the 6th level of ki practitioner in one night. He had a good foundation, but Fu Chen still needed combat training. Recently, the Li family had caught several first-rank beasts, and the main character should practice on them. Fu Chen wanted to refuse, but his father convinced him that all core disciples undergo combat training, and he was no exception. Once in the arena, the young man realized that one strike would be too suspicious, so he would try not to overdo it and defeat the beast with 3 strikes. When the iron-boned red wolf attacked him, the main character swung his sword 3 times, and the beast died instantly. His mother asked Tian Han why their son was so strong, while his father only heard that he would occasionally go into the cloudy, misty hills. The disciples of the Kang La sect, the warriors of the stage of the birth of the foundations, Yang Jiang and Yang Li, were passing through the city. The 2 masters were about to enter before the tournament, and the young man said that it would be easier than easy for them to take first place. Turning to Yang Qi, Yang Jiang said that despite not being able to use the strengthening pool, he could still hope to be among the top 5. The young man believed he would make it into the top 10, but the top 5 seemed too unrealistic for him. Yang Li was sure that strength meant nothing, and that their return was necessary to help with training. The next disciples of the Kang La sect, Guan Hong and Guan Zhu, discussed who would be able to win this year's tournament. The young master declared that it would be Yang Kai from the Yang family, a 7th level ki practitioner with the strength of 1,000 pounds. He was undoubtedly the strongest. Guan Hong's return with Juji was aimed at helping the boys get into the top 5 or even take first place. The girl added that as long as they studied combat training methods, it would not be that difficult to take first place. The candidate they believed in, Guan Peng, turned out to have lost miserably to Li Fu Chen from the Li family. Although they were surprised by the strength of this young man, the young master said that it was due to his carelessness and that he still had an ordinary bone structure. Guan Hong remembered that Li Fu Chen was the master who had previously claimed Guan Shui's hand. He compared him to a toad wanting to get swan meat. Juji added that the Li family was losing power, and they wanted to use the marriage with Guan Shui to strengthen their position. Li Shanhe, a disciple of the Kang La intersect, returned to the family at the stage of the 4th level of the foundations, which the elder was certainly happy about. Li Shanhe turned to the elder, wanting to know which members of the family he was supposed to teach, and what their bone skeletons were like. The man revealed that one of them was his cousin Li Yuan Hai, who had a 2-star bone skeleton. The other student turned out to be his own son, Li Fu Chen, but unfortunately, he had an ordinary bone skeleton. Apologizing, Li Shan, he was not sure if ordinary skeletons were worth the effort, even if it was the son of the elder, but he convinced him that Fu Chen was a rather special case, extremely talented, and had even defeated the genius from the Yang family, Yang Qi, and the genius from the Guan family, Guan Peng. The uncle brought Yuan Hai to train with Li Shanhe, who decided not to use Qi to assess his abilities. Grabbing his blade, Yuan Hai immediately rushed forward, sending leaves flying around him. But as soon as the young master got closer, Li Shanhe needed only one swing of his sword to knock the sword out of the young man's hands. Strength is not everything. In his last move, Li Shanhe struck where he was most vulnerable. If this had been a duel, he would have killed him with his next move. Yuan Hai immediately wanted to learn how to strike at open spots. Li Shan, he was about to teach him, but Fu Chen already knew this technique, which he had learned in the Cloud Mist Hills. The next day, the main character did not show up at the training ground, and the coach said that it would be his loss, that he would only be wasting his time here. To fully master the Red Jade sword technique, he also needed to reach the stage of mastering the basics. but he had already mastered the first step of touching jade. The meaning of the red jade sword technique is to create a flaw within enemies. Wielding his sword, the protagonist's movements were smooth, and at that moment, the blade flashed. Fu Chen was very pleased with his progress, for he expected nothing less from the high-level yellow-level sword art. At this time, in the Yang family, a young master broke a stone. He began to be praised because his fighting instincts surpassed the others. Even in the Kangla sect, in the outer sect, he was still the elite. The master turned to the others and declared that the Kangla sect would learn that it was a mistake not to accept him earlier. In another part of the city, Guan Peng was in the Guan family's monster arena, fiercely swinging his sword, because his goal was to disgrace Li Fu Chen in the tournament. Listening to the people around him complaining about injustice, He Ping, the genius of the northern region of Cloud Mist City, said that it was worth working harder so that there would be no injustice. Shi Fei, the genius of the western region of Cloud Mist City, noticed He Ping and had been eager to meet him, hoping that the genius would live up to his name. A young man from the Li family watched the young master train and decided to test his strength in action. The young man lunged with his sword, but the main character stepped aside and blocked the blade. While the young man stood frozen in surprise, Li Fu Chen knocked the sword out of his hands and held his own to his throat. Still surprised, the young man asked the young master if he had already mastered the technique of the red jade sword. The main character revealed a little secret to the young man, that he had made a small advance on his first move. The elder arrived at the city lord's mansion, where the old man welcomed him to the city of Cloud Mist. The elder of the outer sect of Kanla, Chen Zhongming, noted that the city lord was too kind. Once in the assembly hall, the elder picked up a cup of tea and announced that this year, the Kangla sect would accept 5 geniuses. The city lord added that even Guan Shui, the greatest 4-star skeleton, was able to make it into the top 20 thanks to her talents. The greatest skeletons were considered legendary, such as the Sun Skeleton, the Thunder Skeleton, the Fire Skeleton, and the Frost Skeleton. Guan Shui would one day surpass the elders, but fortunately, they had a good relationship with her. The main character lay on the ground, looking at the night sky. None of the stars belonged to him, but he aspired to become something even more incredible. On the western side of the city, a man announced that killing was forbidden, and that fate would decide who the warriors would face. The tournament of geniuses was finally beginning. The main character looked back, noticing that there was no motivation. No one expected anything from the Li family. In the first match, one of the Li family's disciples would face the highly acclaimed genius, Shi Fei. The Li family warrior thought victory was assured, but as soon as he lunged forward, Shi Fei easily dodged. Shi Fei decided to counterattack immediately, and the disciple barely had time to think before he managed to block his attack. But his opponent's agility proved to be much greater, and the Li disciple's sword was knocked out of his hands. The audience mocked the Li disciples because they were too insignificant and showed no results. Li Yuanhai was filled with rage. He wanted to silence everyone who went against the Li family. The main character turned to him and asked him not to make the situation worse, because they were nothing to the others. Before it was Li Yuanhai's turn, he heard that Li Xiandong from the Li family had lost. Once in the arena, the master was so angry that his aura made itself felt. After a few moments, he won, but the spectators continued to shout insults. The main character entered the arena next, facing a young master who was overly confident, but without even using his sword, Li Fu Chen threw his opponent out of the arena, showing the difference in strength. As more and more people were defeated, only 2 disciples from the Li family remained. Of the 40 participants, only 20 remained, and only they could claim to be among the top 5. In the next battle, Li Fu Chen and Guan Peng faced off in a rematch after their recent duel. The main character declared that if he had already defeated him once, he could do it again. The masters used sword techniques. Guan Peng used the soft water technique, and Li Fu Chen used the Qin Feng technique. The elder watching was surprised that the main character was able to easily read his opponent's weaknesses. Guan Peng soared into the air and decided to use the more dangerous rain sword technique. Li Fu Chen was calm, easily deflecting each of Guan Peng's long-range attacks, knowing that victory would be his. Suddenly, an illusion of Guan Tong appeared behind him, asking him to lose the battle, for which he would receive 5,000 gold coins. But the main character ignored this request, and with a strong swing of his sword, pushed Guan Peng out of the arena. Li Fu Chen turned to the elders and said that the Guan family had no shame. They were angry because the young master dared to destroy his son's future, and the Guan family would remember this. Soon, Shi Fei entered the ring against Li Fu Chen. He declared that Li Fu Chen was strong and had even managed to win 2 consecutive victories, but that it would end there. Shi Fei rushed forward, saying that the protagonist would pay for his arrogance. He unleashed 36 quick cuts from the Sheng family against the 5th level of Red Jade Technique and Whirlwind Sword Art. Blocking the genius's attacks, Li Fu Chen immediately counterattacked with a Jade Lunge. Such nimble strikes stunned Shi Fei, even knocking the sword out of his hands. But he did not give up. Left without his blade, Shi Fei jumped into the air and decided to use martial arts. The main character told the young master to know his place, then kicked him in the stomach. The elder asked Li Yun if he could defeat Li Fu Chen. Yuan Hai was no longer so confident, but he wanted to try his best against him. After all, Li Fu Chen had a normal skeletal structure, and he talked to his ancestor and told him to lose if he faced him. Li Fu Chen kept winning, while Li Yunxi started losing ground. In his next duel, Li Yuanhai faced a soaring sky eagle against which he used a water-wandering carp. But it wasn't enough. The master was able to overpower him, and he lost that battle. When Li Yunhai faced Shen Tuju, it was his second lost duel. At that time, Li Fuchen stood against Sheng Tuyang and easily won that battle. Li Yunhai's next duel was against the #1 genius of the eastern region, Zhu Hongshu, and it was also lost. Finally, Li Fuchen faced Li Yonghe, and this battle promised to be a real spectacle for the masters. The great-grandfather turned to Li Fuchen and told him to lose, after which he would give him a reward. Li Yunhai said that as soon as he broke through to the Earth Destruction stage, he would not humiliate him. Throwing himself into battle, he added that he was the hope of the Li family, not Li Fuchen. The main character was not concerned. No one could stand in his way, and now he was going to win. Revealing his new technique, Li Fuchen made a lightning-fast cut and defeated Li Yunhai. Even the elder was surprised by the young master's strength, noting that he had potential. The great-grandfather did not expect such an act from Li Fuchen. It was the utmost disrespect for his elders, and from now on, Li Fuchen's family had disgraced the family branch. After that, a battle began between two geniuses, Li Fuchen and Zhu Hongshu. The red-haired master rushed forward, calling purple blades behind him, but Li Fuchen was very calm. He slowly unleashed his power, using the art of the whirlwind sword to create strong gusts of wind around him. Each blow was aimed precisely at her weak points, and the master could no longer hold back. When the sword was at her throat, Zhu Hongshu admitted defeat, saying that Li Fuchen was strong, and even the normal structure of the skeleton would not be an obstacle in the future. Li Yunhai had another duel, fighting against Yang Kai, and even this time he lost. The young master blamed Li Fuchen for not being able to make it into the top 5 of the tournament. The main character replied that only trash blamed others, and then he left. Only Yang Kai, Shen Tuju, Xi Ping, Zhu Hongshu, Guan Hao, and Li Fuchen remained in the game. The next duel was against Guan Hao. Guan Hao asked for a chance to restore his friendship with the Guan family. Holding his sword forward, the main character declared that he would get it himself, for the things he craved. Guan Hao mockingly believed that if Li Fuchen joined the Kangla sect, he would be able to regain Guan Shu's favor. The main character shouted that this was nonsense, then rushed into battle, no longer willing to listen to his enemy. With a single swing of his sword, Li Fuchen struck down the insolent member of the Guan family, once again demonstrating his power to all who were watching. The top 5 were determined. Next, Shen Tuju fought Zhu Hongshu and won. Xi Ping lost to Li Fuchen, then Xi Ping defeated Zhu Hongshu. Only Sheng Tuju and Li Fuchen had not lost a single match. Sheng Tuju planned to make Li Fuchen lose so that he could take second place. Shen Tuju used his hidden ace in the hole, the yellow rank of high-class sword art, the first move, the appearance of the fire dragon, saying that there are flaws in everything. Li Fuchen dodged the hidden attack and ended up behind his opponent. A swift cloud wind struck Sheng Tuju, sealing another victory for Li Fuchen. Next to enter the ring was Yang Kai, a 16-year-old boy who was 7 feet tall with a handsome face, looking much stronger than the main character. The young master began the battle with an amazing technique of Viper Sword Mastery, but this did not faze the main character, who counterattacked with the 6th level Red Jade technique. Yang Kai had no choice but to use the more powerful 7th level Explosive Cultivation technique. The Silver Snake Sword technique clashed with Li Fuchen's Jade Touch. The protagonist's attack overwhelmed Yang Kai, but he parried it and decided to continue the fierce battle. The battle continued, and after many rounds, their QE began to fade, and Yang Kai felt unwell. When the two masters clashed again, Yang Kai put away his sword, causing Li Fuchen to fall. But this cheap trick did not work on the main character, who got up and found himself to the side of his opponent. Li Fuchen circled around him and attacked Yang Kai from behind, throwing the young master away. The last thing Yang Kai saw was Li Fuchen's incredible speed as he approached him. With one more blow, the main character was able to push Yang Kai out of the arena, making him the winner. 5 masters entered the arena, the 5 strongest in the entire tournament. The main character received 10,000 gold coins and 2 bottles of Qi gathering pills, which would help his cultivation for a long time. 3 days later, Li Fuchen and the others began their journey to the Kangla cult with Cheng Zhongming, which took them 3 months. The entrance test began. The first test was to check the structure of the skeleton. A 1-star skeleton structure was worth 50 points, and the higher the level of the skeleton, the more points it was worth. The elder observed the amazing results of the top 4, each of whom received no less than 70 points. When it was the main character's turn, he approached the stone, but it showed no reaction. A normal skeletal structure was worth only 40 points. Inside the garden with incense, for a group of 10 people, the test of wit began. Li Fuchen opened the book, which contained only 40 steps, which he considered an easy task. After learning 6 movements, they received passing marks. In Li Fuchen's group, Sheng Tupian had the worst result with 4 movements. Meanwhile, Zhu Hongzhou and Yang Hai learned 9 movements and received 75 points. The main character was very quick-witted and achieved an amazing result of 110 points. Li Fuchen was the second to score over 100, but a certain master learned 13 movements and scored 120 points. The third test was the path to the green cloud, which tested the master's willpower. Li Fuchen struggled to pass this path, feeling as if 100 pounds were pressing down on him the entire time. In addition to the pressure on the masters, another surprise awaited them in the form of an attack by demons, which were very strong. The elders had lost hope that anyone would be able to pass the test of will with distinction, so they did not expect any results. The path to the green cloud had strong pressure and illusions, and only 3 people had passed with flying colors in the last 10 years. All of these people who had joined the Kangla cult previously had a 5-star skeletal structure. Li Fuchen was able to pass through the first wave of demons, but very soon, another wave of enemies awaited him. Even they could not stop the main character's strong will, so after killing them, he moved on. Some masters were less fortunate, suffering many injuries from the demons, but their confidence did not waver. Only the demons had other plans. Another master failed this test, and now the elders had no hope that anyone would complete the test with distinction. But suddenly, a young master emerged from the cave. It was none other than Li Fuchen, who had managed to pass the test. The masters thought he had cheated, because the main character received the highest score for his willpower. Unfortunately, he only had an ordinary skeletal structure. People talked about how one of the 10 proud disciples of heaven, Guan Shu, had broken through to the 5th level of the white wave technique. She has a 4-star water skeleton structure, and by practicing water techniques, she will double her effectiveness. The main character overheard this and was surprised, realizing that he had to work harder. The next day, the elders announced that the Kanla cult had more than 10 types of beginner-level techniques, and the masters were free to choose their own. The main character chose the Burning Heaven technique, one of the strongest techniques of the Kanla cult, which is very similar to the Burning Sky technique. The elder stopped the main character because he wanted to give him red fire pills. This useful medicine could help Li Fuchen when he encountered difficulties. On his way, Zhao Pihu stopped the main character, asking if his name was Li Fuchen. The young master said that the main character would give him medium-grade yellow pills every month, and he guaranteed that as a first-level cult disciple, he would have no problems. Li Fuchen wanted to refuse, but suddenly, Zhao Pihu took out his sword, saying that he would make him gladly accept this offer. The two masters began to exchange blows, and thanks to the touch of jade, the protagonist pulled his opponent's sword toward him. With his next move, Li Fuchen lunged forward, placing his blade against his opponent's throat. Another young master watched this fight and decided to try to attack Li Fuchen as well. Chen Dahai covered himself with water and brought his blade behind his back, approaching the main character. The main character counterattacked, but immediately realized that Chen Dahai's defense was very unusual. But that didn't mean Chen Dahai could stop him, so the next attack would defeat him. That's exactly what happened. The main character broke through the water defense, surprising Chen Dahai. Kicking him, Li Fuchen won another victory, surprising the masters with his terrifying fighting skills. The warriors were also surprised that the main character behaved so arrogantly, even though he only had an ordinary skeletal structure. In the later stages of development, he would no longer have an advantage. The young man returned to the lonely courtyard. Thanks to his experience with the red jade technique, Li Fuchen's cultivation was much easier. In just half a month, the red fire technique reached the 3rd level, and these results greatly pleased the master. In addition to developing his techniques, Li Fuchen found himself at the 4th level of the star skeleton structure. The stage of returning to the stage of earth destruction is the first difficulty on the path of development. Li Fuchen spent his 1,000 gold coins to buy 2 medium-grade yellow pills that strengthened the body, thereby increasing his physical strength by 450 points. The main character went to the river and started fishing, suddenly catching a strange fish covered in electricity. This result delighted him, and he caught and killed a 2nd-level blue fish. But this was only the beginning. Later, he began breaking rocks in search of ore, and he found a vein where there was a lot of snow silver iron. He reached the 7th level of Qi, and the golden talisman accelerated his divine training. He earned points and a red rank in the 2nd level of combat body. Senior Zhou Huailong approached Li Fuchen and said that this time the elders would not help him. 2 months ago, the main character was delivering minerals, and he blocked his way and robbed him. Zhou Huailong beat Li Fuchen so badly that he vomited blood, but luckily, the senior saved him afterwards. This time, the main character was already confident in himself, and he was glad that he wouldn't have to look for Zhou, saving himself time. Covering his fist with power, Zhou Huailong decided to break all of Li Fuchen's bones. But now, the attack not only failed to achieve its goal, the main character created a barrier. With just one kick, Zhou Huailong, who had been beating Li Fuchen, was sent flying. The masters noticed this, and were surprised that Li Fuchen had become stronger than his senior in just 2 months. Another senior turned to Li Fuchen and told him that he had gone a little too far. The main character did not understand why a person who was not involved in the situation was interfering with him. As it turned out, all 3 masters were brothers who had been robbing people, and now they wanted revenge. One of the brothers defended himself with iron armor technique, but Li Fuchen easily deflected it with his red rank combat body. Retreating, he drew his sword, revealing his 7-star sword art. This technique was powerful, but he was still missing 1 star. The red jade sword technique struck the jade master with the jade of death, showing victory over 2 enemies. Everyone realized that Li Fuchen was too strong, and it was better not to mess with him. The main character continued to train, and the intense training caused energy to swell inside his body, but the red rank combat body was complete. the energy was released, and Li Fu Chen's defense improved. While the main character was having lunch at a restaurant, he heard the people around him rejoicing that important people would soon be there. A girl entered the restaurant, who turned out to be an acquaintance of Li Fu Chen, Guan, who immediately noticed the main character. The girl was immediately delighted to see him, and first of all, she apologized for their engagement. Li Fu Chen replied that breaking off the engagement was a good thing for both of them, and everyone was happy. When the young master left, the girl sarcastically said that because of his ordinary skeleton, fate had destined them to be in different worlds. The cult continued to mock others. This time, their victim was He Ping, who refused their invitation to join their circle of followers, and they became angry with him. He Ping understood that they would just chase him around with errands, so he refused. These words only provoked the bully. When the guy's hand was on He Ping's shoulder, he couldn't move, but suddenly someone came to his aid. That someone turned out to be Li Fu Chen, who told the bullies to stop. Since he had already dealt with them, his presence instilled fear. They ran away, saying that going against one of Fang's 10 heaven-blessed followers was suicide. He Ping thanked the young master, but did not consider this action necessary. The main character only replied that he was never afraid, so there was no need to worry. Li Fu Chen went to the pool to continue his training. Focusing, he summoned a fragment of red jade, but a stranger jumped into the water and shouted the protagonist's name, causing the master to lose his focus. The stranger introduced himself as a disciple of Fang, ranked 272nd in strength, named Nie Ming, and he had come to fight Li Fu Chen. Without further ado, Nie Ming attacked, but his blow missed its target and only rippled the water around it. The main character counterattacked from behind, and Nie Ming managed to turn around and block the stone palm. The blow created a huge splash of water, and Li Fu Chen took advantage of this and used the water balls as projectiles. Nie Ming had to take out his blade, and with one precise swing, he cut through the water balls. The water projectiles returned to the main character, and his burning red blade immediately began to evaporate the attack. With a counterattack of his sword, Li Fu Chen created even more water bullets, which Nie Ming would hardly be able to block. But suddenly someone stood up for Nie Ming. It was one of the sect's outer 10 heaven-blessed disciples, Fang Li Kai. The sect members rejoiced at the arrival of Lord Feng, for he was their hope for victory over Li Fu Chen. Fang Li praised the main character for blocking an attack in which the sect member had put a third of his strength. Suddenly, a stranger in the distance shouted to Feng Li Kai that the outer sect was not a place where he could rule. This stranger turned out to be the 10th most powerful senior, Gao Tian, with a keen sense of justice. Because of the 10th's intervention, Fang Li became angry and attacked him with the 9th level Iron Body technique. To counter this skill, he used the 9th level Kun Jade technique. Li Fu Chen did not get involved in the battle, but only watched from a distance, smiling and calling the fight entertaining. Fang Li did not want to give up. After the first attack, he decided to continue with a wave of fear. The 10th ranked fighter responded to this attack, causing the sea of clouds to stir with a swing of his sword. Before the two attacks collided, the elder rushed in and blocked them with his hands. Because the masters did not value the rules of the Kenlan cult, the elder punished the disciples. Before he knew it, Li Fu Chen had been in the Kenlan cult for 9 months. According to the rules, first-level novices had to clean the tower. In the ranking system, Li Tian was in first place, stopping on the 3rd floor with 15 marks, followed by Shan Gong Hong in 2nd place, also on the 3rd floor with 21 marks, Chen Tian in 10th place, and Fan Li Kai in 12th place. The sect members watched as the main character approached the tower, discussing how he would cope with the test. With astonishing speed, the protagonist activated the runes on the first 2 floors. Breaking through the 2nd floor within 12 marks, Li Fu Chen not only surprised the sect members, but also had a chance to make it into the top 100. Inside the Tower of Trials, Li Fu Chen deliberately did not move when the huge beast appeared before him. With a calm expression on his face, the protagonist allowed the monster to attack and injure him. Soon he came out of the tower. Li Fu Chen was in 60th place. He reached the 3rd floor and received 54 marks. The main character made a breakthrough in front of the elder to the 9th level of Red Fire technique. This terrifying success was achieved in less than a year. As agreed, Li Fu Chen was to receive 10,000 points as a reward, and the elder also presented him with a badge of honor, allowing him to choose a mystical level technique. Guan remained behind Li Fu Chen in the Tower of Trials, ending up in 98th place, but she was motivated to become even stronger. The senior disciple of the Heaven Sect, Tai Xiao Yue, who was in the 42nd place in the Trial Tower, asked the junior Zhu if she would mind sitting with him. After a short silence, the girl smiled back at him and allowed him to sit with her. Tai Xiao praised the younger Zhu, saying she was practically on the verge of breaking through to the 7th level of key cultivation. Zhu Hong thanked him. The appearance of this pretty girl drove the elder Tai crazy. Zhu Hong was one of the 4 main beauties of the sect, as was Guan Shui, in Tai Xiao's opinion. The other 2 beauties were Wu Qingmei and Zhao Mingyu, each of whom was so beautiful that all men desired them. Suddenly, 2 women approached Tai Xiao and grabbed his arm, hoping he hadn't forgotten about them. Tai Xiao asked the girls not to cling to him so tightly so that Zhu Hong would think how charming he was, but she completely ignored him and instead turned to Li Fu Chen, who was passing by. The main character approached the table, and Zhu Hong introduced him to the senior disciple, Tai Xiao Yue. Tai Xiao added to Zhu Hong that Li Fu Chen had an ordinary bone skeleton and would sooner or later be expelled from the sect. But the guys ignored him, and Li Fu Chen congratulated Zhu Hong on breaking through to the 8th level of key cultivation. Tai Xiao lost his temper, got up from his seat, and suggested that Li Fu Chen go outside. The main character refused, as he was still eating, but Tai Xiao did not want to stop there. As soon as he reached out his hand, Li Fu Chen knocked it away, further angering the master. This was the last straw for Tai Xiao, and he decided to attack the main character immediately. But to Tai Xiao's surprise, his attack was blocked. The table shattered with a crash, and the girls were astonished. Immediately after the blow, the young master pulled his hand away, which also surprised Li Fu Chen. In fact, Tai Xiao's arm was injured after blocking the main character's attack, but he decided not to show it. Realizing that he would not be able to defeat Li Fu Chen, Tai Xiao had to accept defeat, saying only that the main character would regret it. Li Fu Chen was disappointed that his opponent was leaving so quickly, because he had not yet had his share of fun. Tai Xiao began to leave, and replied that he was not feeling well. While the main character was training with stones, one of the sect members advised him to give up the mine. Li Fu Chen told Feng Lihai that he had been looking for an opportunity to fight him again and again, and today he would challenge his iron body. He had a 4-star skeleton, so the young master was confident of his victory. As soon as the two masters' fists collided, a flash of power from both sides erupted around them. After the collision, the martial artists jumped back, but their desire to fight did not disappear. Feng Lihai jumped into the air, using the Heavenly Storm Fist attack. The main character waited for the enemy's attack to approach, then stepped forward and struck the enemy with a mountain-shattering fist. During the impact, Li Fu Chen added that if he had not been a disciple of the Kang La sect, he would have died long ago. Guan Xue, ranked 16th in the Tower of Trials, walked down the corridor. Everyone called her a goddess and rejoiced for her, for she had lived up to her 4-star bone skeleton. Li Fu Chen continued to train, this time wanting to break the stone with a barrage of attacks. Zhu Hong watched him, surprised that he could already release pure ki. Li Fu Chen's strength was increasing at a shocking rate. Noticing the girl, Li Fu Chen revealed that he was pursuing the pinnacle of martial arts, and he also asked if Tai Xiao was still bothering her. Zhu Hong admitted that she hadn't seen him in a long time, but she felt that he would soon start causing problems for the main character. Suddenly, as soon as they remembered this master, his voice rang out from afar, calling Li Fu Chen. A sly smile lit up the protagonist's face, and he happily said that Tai Xiao had arrived just in time. Li Fu Chen happily came to meet Tai Xiao, and the nearby cultists assumed that Li Fu Chen himself had started the fight, this time with the elder Tai Xiao. The senior sect member turned to Guan Xue and said that her former fiancé really liked to get into trouble. Guan Xu's expression changed dramatically, and she said that she had nothing to do with Li Fu Chen. The main character decided to make a deal with Tai Xiao before the fight, thereby misleading him. Guan Xu wanted to leave, saying that arrogant people had no future, but the elder thought that a miracle would happen. Tai Xiao decided not to listen to the main character, telling Li Fu Chen not to get cocky and immediately rushing into battle. The young master did not react to Tai Xiao's hasty decision. He just waited for him to approach. When he was close, Li Fu Chen delivered one deft blow that broke his ribs. Guan Chuo managed to witness this fight, and her emotions shifted from anger to surprise. She did not expect that Li Fu Chen, who had previously been a reject, now had such power. In his subsequent free time, Li Fu Chen continued to train, gathering strength in an energy ball. After that, the young man unleashed this power, completing the second stage of the Jixing realm, with his strength reaching 1,000 pounds. Although this training was powerful, it took Li Fu Chen a lot of strength and resources to reach this level. Yue Wen was next to the main character, and the girl who was following him continued to praise the master's skills. The main character was surprised, because he had previously seen Niao Qingmei with Shan Guanggong, but now she was with Yue Wen Tian. Yue Wen noticed Li Fu Chen, and realizing that he truly admired him, offered to take him on as his disciple. The main character said that he had an ordinary bone skeleton and was of no value to him. Wu Qing added that senior Yue Wen possessed a 5-star bone skeleton, and becoming his disciple would undoubtedly be beneficial. But the protagonist did not continue to listen to the master, asking them to forget about this proposal. Wu Qing said mockingly that Li Fu Chen really didn't know what was best for him. Yue Wen added that Wu Qing shouldn't take it to heart. He was just a little interested in him. Suddenly, Senior Shan Guan appeared behind them and begged Wu Qing to reconsider her decision. The girl replied that she had never liked him before and that they were just friends. The elder thought that Wu Qing had broken up with him only because Yue Wen was stronger than him. The boys continued to mock him and simply walked away. Shan Guan was devastated and promised to defeat Yue Wen one day. The elder was in the forest of 100 beasts at the opening of the outer Sect Competition. He announced that the competition would begin in this forest, and there were no rules except to kill each other. The first 20 people to reach the checkpoint would win, and the rest would be eliminated. The young master was angry because he was at the 8th level of key cultivation, while Li Fu Chen had reached the 9th level. It was impossible to raise his level at such a tremendous speed. Suddenly, the elder announced the start of the competition, waving his hand for the masters to rush forward. Li Fu Chen did not rush, but when he started running forward, he easily overtook many masters. On his way, the main character noticed his opponent, who was glaring at him with gritted teeth, pointing to the many masters behind him. The guy was sure that 100 people could stop him. Expressing his excessive confidence, Li Fu Chen said that a pack of wolves could not defeat a dragon, and a mantis could stop a car. The protagonist's momentum did not slow down, and the master suffered a complete defeat when they tried to attack Li Chen. Li Chen noticed 3 more people behind him and suggested that they simply step forward as he was in a hurry. But these masters turned out to be observers who asked the main character to hurry up, saying they could deal with the rest. The observer was amazed by Li Chen's glorious talent. He could really handle 100 people. If his defense was not strong enough, he could have died there. Li Chen asked Feng Lihai to just wait. The main character noticed Wu Qing on his way and asked her if she had seen Feng Lihai nearby. Learning that he might be ahead, Li Chen began to run much faster than the others. Wu Qing couldn't believe that the young master had kept up such a pace for 3 days in a row. Senior Gao also crossed paths with the young warrior and asked him the same question, whether he had seen Feng Lihai. Knowing that they had a personal score to settle, Gao assumed that Li Chen would meet Feng ahead. As soon as the protagonist heard this, his pace quickened again, and he ran away, surprising Senior Gao. 3 days later, Li Chen finally found his enemy, Feng Lihai, drinking water from the river. The protagonist addressed him and pointed out that such a proud disciple of heaven like him was still using tricks. Feng Lihai smiled and said that he had not broken any rules while participating in the tournament. The main character wondered how Feng Lihai would be able to make it into the top 20 if he was seriously injured. Feng Lihai immediately rushed into battle and said that his strength was no longer what it had been 6 months ago. But as soon as the proud master approached, the main character delivered such a powerful blow that it sent his enemy flying across the river. Li Chen confirmed that he had changed a little, and for Feng Lihai's ingratitude, he would receive a good lesson. Feng Lihai did not want to simply give up. He got up from the ground and rushed forward to kill his enemy. On the verge of clashing with the enemy, the main character declared that his enemy was just a weakling. Suddenly, someone burst into the fight and struck Li Chen, sending him into a tree at incredible speed. Feng Lihai suddenly noticed the man who had appeared, who turned out to be the young master's uncle. With blood on his face, the main character got up and sarcastically declared that another helper had arrived. Covering his hand with a jade aura, Li Chen called Feng Lihai a shameless man. But suddenly another person appeared, and the elder turned to Feng Dahe, frightening the uncle. Elder Chu became angry and asked Feng Dahe a single question. What was he trying to do? The uncle immediately bowed and told the elder that he had just decided to joke around a little. Q immediately ordered him to leave slowly, after which he was to admit his mistake to Elder Xiao. Elder Chu told the main character to continue, for which he thanked his grandfather. Feng Lihai wanted to know what would happen to his uncle. Feng Dahe replied that his father was the city lord, so he would not be severely punished. Before leaving, Feng Dahe gave his nephew a healing pill. The first to arrive at the end was the joyful #1 disciple of the outer sect with a 5-star skeleton, Li Tian. The sect members began to worship this disciple, who truly lived up to his genetics. But then, they suddenly noticed a second person. Suddenly, a second master followed him, who turned out to be the main character, whom the sect members clearly did not expect to see. 3 days later, the ranking tournament began. Rumors were circulating. Some had heard that the competition in the outer sect was becoming more intense this season because such talented disciples had arrived compared to the previous generation. This was obvious, although Yue Tian had a 5-star bone skeleton. During the last competition, there were talents such as the senior Bajian. The first to arrive was the pride of the inner sect, senior Yunjian Liu Tianhe, who had reached the 3rd stage of foundation establishment in 2 years as an inner sect disciple. Senior Meijian also arrived. She is now at the 5th stage of the foundation stage. It so happened that she was interested in the competition of the outer sect disciple. The third participant was the highly respected internal disciple #1, the pride of the heavens, Ba Jian Yi Wu Huang. Each disciple was given a ballot, and the competition began based on the ballot number. The senior master was the first to enter the arena, and she had no intention of giving in to her enemy. The enemy turned out to be Guan Shui, and she did not need anyone to be lenient with her. The senior immediately attacked. Yellow class, maximum level of a frenzied storm of quick strikes. Guan Shui blocked the attack with the same yellow class, maximum level, the art of the plum blossom sword. The main character noticed that Niao Qingmei's level and skills were slightly higher, but Guan Shui's physical attributes were stronger than hers. Apparently, Li Chen predicted that Guan Shui would win this duel. The main character was completely right, because in the next moment, Niao Qingmei's sword flew out of her hands. The elder Mei Jian was amazed by the impressive art of the sword of the blossoming Silva. Guan Shui will be a worthy opponent in the future. The frenzied storm of quick strikes was good, but unfortunately, she was unable to master it quickly enough. After that, Shan Guanhong also achieved victory. The granddaughter of the great elder, Zhao Ming Yue, defeated Feng Lihai. Yu Wentian also defeated his opponent. Gao Zhangtian defeated Feng Xiaoyu. Li Chen used his exceptional sword skills to defeat his opponent. Thus, the 10 strongest fighters were selected. The young master watched Li Chen from the crowd and wondered if he could ever reach Li Chen's level. The main character fought Zhao Ming Yue, their blades clashing every second, making a loud sound. The elder noticed that Li Chen's talent was too frightening. He had trained his middle-rank yellow-class sword art to such a level that he was clearly the second sword maniac. Zhao Mingyu attacked the main character again, but each of her attacks missed. Li Chen said that Zhao Mingyu's skill was powerful, but she didn't have enough strength since she had just joined the sect. The girl eagerly awaited his final battle, where he would face Yu Wentian. When the time for the most anticipated duel arrived, Yu Tian allowed the main character to strike first. Feng Lihai declared that such a disgraceful person would not be able to withstand even one blow. Li Fuchen decided to accept Yu Tian's offer, climbed into the arena, and his opponent was already waiting for the right strike. The two masters collided, and their clash was so powerful that almost the entire arena collapsed. The sect members were surprised that Li Fuchen had withstood it, each of them wondering how many blows the main character could withstand. Yu Tian decided to accept the challenge for a serious fight, calling upon the art of the golden snake sword against the art of the red fire sword. As soon as the techniques collided, the two swords broke into pieces. Yu Tian immediately wondered how Li Fuchen dared to hide his skills from him, but for the main character, this was nothing special, because he said the same thing about Yu Tian. Both of their skills had reached the 8th stage, but Li Fuchen's sword art was more complex. The elders threw 2 new swords to the masters to continue the duel, but Yu Tian was not going to let Li Fuchen take him. While the swords were flying, Yu Tian and Li Fuchen began to fight with their fists, raising such high curtains of smoke that it was almost impossible to see the duel. The fist fight proved unsuccessful for Yu Tian, as the young master was able to overpower him. Realizing he had no other choice, the young gentleman decided to reach for the flying blade. Li Fuchen noticed this, so he decided to respond in kind, grabbing his own blade. The masters clashed about 398 times, but it seemed that neither was willing to back down. Li Fuchen was also wounded, as was his opponent, but neither his ardor nor his temper weakened. But suddenly, in addition to the usual strikes, the main character used the technique of a smoldering, fiery vortex stream. Such a powerful attack caused the young master to fall and envelop his body in bright flames. Yu Tian called him a scoundrel, saying that if only he had a sword in his hand, he would not have been able to defeat him. Li Fuchen won the duel and declared that he would defeat Yu Tian no matter how many times he challenged him. Even after the duel, Yu Tian was not too discouraged, for he was still in first place. The girl said that after such achievements, since Yu Tian was older in the Tower of Trials, she thought that Li Fuchen would never achieve this. The main character didn't care about the rankings and continued to train. Zhu Hong noticed Li Fuchen and pointed out that his achievements in the Trial Tower had been surpassed by Yu Tian. The main character had expected this and only asked about his achievements. He was on the 8th set, but the guy wasn't surprised by this result at all. Zhu Hong did not understand why there was no surprise on his face, and after that, the main character suggested that she go to the Trial Tower for a short time. Towards evening, Li Fuchen collected 6 sets in the Trial Tower and became a legend of the Outer Sect. Yu Tian trained until he was exhausted, consumed by anger that Li Fuchen dared to surpass him. Time passed, and Shang Guanhong, Zhao Mingyue, and the others, except for Li Fuchen, reached the Origin Realm stage at the same time. Guan Shu broke through the Origin stage, and all of the top 10 Heavenly Pride disciples made a breakthrough, with only the senior Li Fucheng still not having made a breakthrough. The sect members understood that because of his ordinary bone structure, it would take him 2 years before there was any hope of a breakthrough. When the sect members left, Li Fuchen continued fishing and finally caught his prey. He had finally gathered enough materials, and it was time for him to make a breakthrough to the Origin stage. As soon as the young master returned to his residence, he began the ritual, and after such a long time, it was time to release all the accumulated energy inside his body, reaching the first stage of the Origin Realm. In the hall of the Outer Sect disciples, the protagonist approached Elder Song. The elder himself was surprised to see this disciple, who had finally made a breakthrough. But that wasn't the only news that shocked the elder. Li Fuchen planned to apply for the inner disciple exam. Without asking any questions, the elder was still full of surprise, but he handed the main character the necessary item. On White Jade Avenue, the sect members discussed the achievements of Yu Tian, who was part of the Proud Heavens, the sphere of origin of the 2nd stage, and the victorious 3rd elder, but he lost to Li Fuchen. Based on Li Fuchen's bone skeleton, it was estimated that it would take him another 2 years to make a breakthrough. At the moment, even if he tried his best, he would not be able to catch up with him. Suddenly, the sect members noticed Li Fuchen, who they had just been talking about, and the fact that he was here meant that the young master had made a breakthrough. While the other masters were working in a disciplined environment, rumors spread that Li Fuchen had broken through to the realm of origin. The young master heard this and became angry. At first, he wanted to make up for lost time, but the main character continued to move further and further away. The main character took the exam to test the strength of the inner sect disciples. Li Fuchen was already standing in the arena, waiting for the beast. A special 2nd-rank monster, a weak flying beast, an iron-winged bird, was set against him. But as soon as the beast approached the main character, it was cut into small pieces. The elder announced the verdict based on Li Fuchen's skills, and he was now promoted to a 1st-level disciple of the inner sect. Another 6 months passed, and the main character continued to hone his skills. Now, a huge boulder lay before him. Throwing himself forward, Li Fuchen used the Shadow Wind skill combined with the Cosmic Meteor and easily pierced the hard stone. The Shadow Wind and Cosmic Meteor skills were almost complete, and he had reached the 2nd stage of the Origin Realm. Finally, it was time to carry out several sect missions. The first task was to kill Maida He, a wanted criminal who had reached the 4th stage of the Origin Realm. The city of Blackwater gathered an army in the Forest of the Lost, and the guards did not understand why the city lord was making such a fuss over a small matter that he needed 7 men to kill 1 criminal. The leader explained that Maida He had raped and killed Wang Fusheng's precious daughter. But the conversation did not last long. As the army advanced, one of the guardsmen was killed by an arrow. Before he could even turn around, all of his allies fell before the commander, and the last arrow was approaching him. The commander managed to raise his shield in the last seconds to deflect such a powerful shot. But such a shield took a lot of his strength, and even though it blocked the shot, it wounded the commander. The man realized that Ma Dahai had attacked them, and he nervously awaited his next attack. When he was behind him, the commander noticed this and blocked the attack, but the man's injuries weakened him. The commander was thrown back, and he realized that Ma Dahai had broken through to the 5th stage of origin. With a smile on his face, the criminal asked the commander to be obedient and just die. But the man was sure that even if he died, the bandit would not escape. This turned out to be true, as Li Fu-chen appeared behind him. Saying that Ma Dahai had no chance of escape, the main character revealed that he was an inner disciple of the Kangla sect. Turning his hand crossbow, Ma Dahai was confident of his victory, for Li Fu-chen had only reached the 2nd stage of the sphere of origin. This time, the arrows that had easily taken the lives of the guards were useless, as Li Fu-chen caught them with 2 fingers. Redirecting the arrow, the main character threw it back, but now it had even greater power. The arrow reached the enemy so quickly that even a raised shield could not block it. Li Fu-chen began to approach Ma Dahai closer and closer, while he shouted at him that the young master was a monster. With his last ounce of strength, the criminal decided to retreat, because he understood that even several lives would not be enough to fight such guys. The main character decided to stop chasing Ma Dahai and kill him with his new cosmic meteor ability, tearing his opponent's body apart. After crushing another black wind thief at the entrance to the cave, the main character said that they had an amazing master. If his light step qigong skill wasn't high, he could have already died in battle. The enemies told Li Fu-chen not to be too cocky, deciding to gang up on him. But as soon as they approached the main character, he killed a number of fighters with a single swing. Later, the young master found the cage and opened it, telling the people to leave, because now they were free. To the main character's surprise, inside the cage was a group of girls who were naked. Li Fu-chen asked them to find some clothes to cover themselves with, giving each of them 1,000 gold coins. When the young master returned to the sect, he continued to train, facing a huge rock at which he aimed his sword. Throwing himself forward, Li Fu-chen swung his sword around him, breaking through the boulder. Suddenly, he heard a woman's voice behind him. The girl asked the main character if he had finished practicing the shadow wind and cosmic meteor skills. She turned out to be Li Jin-shu, a 31-year-old at the 8th stage of the origin realm. She said that in 3 days, the 3 major families of the city, Li, Guan, and Yang, were holding a small competition where Li Fu-chen could participate and make up for lost time. 3 days later, he finally arrived, and a commotion ensued as Li Fu-chen was finally going to fight Guan Shui. The girl said that she would never regret her decision to break off the engagement and that she would decide her own fate. The main character revealed the truth, saying that he had never liked Guan Shui before and that he, Li Fu-chen, would take what he wanted. Hearing the truth that Li Fu-chen had never liked her, Guan Shui was overcome with rage. In a fit of rage, Guan Shui flew into the air and immediately attacked the main character with an icy blade in her hands. The main character counterattacked the mysterious aqua cataclysm with his snowy red jade flame. Guan Shui's sword flew out of her hands, and she had to retreat to retrieve the blade. The observers of the duel did not want to let Li Fu-chen defeat Guan Shui in battle. While the girl was trying to gather her strength, someone's shadow passed over her, looming directly over Li Fu-chen. It was Guan Yao at the 5th stage of the origin realm, who shouted that he was now the protagonist's opponent. Li Fu-chen decided to accept the new opponent, immediately clashing with him with blows. Li Fu-chen easily blocked Guan Yao's attack, forcing the second attacker to retreat. Guan Shui turned to Guan Yao and asked who had asked him to intervene in this duel. Admitting her mistake, the girl turned to the main character and acknowledged her defeat in this competition. Li Fu-chen was about to leave, but before doing so, he declared that from that moment on, they owed each other nothing. Guan Yao rushed forward again, saying that Guan Shui was impartial and had declared her defeat, but he had no intention of doing so. After a while, the protagonist beat Guan Yao. The 5th stage of the sphere of origin was eliminated from the game by Li Fu-chen. 13 months passed, and the main character came to the city of Animal Blood for a group mission, waiting for the beast to start exploding. As it turned out, Niao Qingmei also took on this mission, surprising Li Fu-chen. The girl asked him if he really thought she was too weak for such tasks. In addition, 3 other young masters appeared, one of whom was very happy to see Li Fu-chen. Among them was Liao Hai Long, an inner disciple of the Proud Heaven sect at the 6th stage of the origin realm, who allowed him to join his team because he had appeared before the younger Niao. The main character turned around and apologized because he didn't like being given orders. Liao Hailong was furious. Such a presumptuous little useless guy, but he dared to act tough. Later, the 2 women wanted to know how Li Fu-chen could improve so quickly with an ordinary bone structure. The main character said that he just had a knack for learning, but the girls were also interested in whether he would join them to fight the beast together. 4 days later, the wave of beasts was finally approaching, and the warriors called all participants to be ready. There were a shocking number of beasts, and their abilities were also very strong. Li Fu-chen's attack stunned the girls. He easily dealt with the monsters thanks to his red jade techniques. Suddenly, a huge monster attacked him, but Li Fu-chen jumped back, leaving only the monster's fist behind. Before him stood a monster, comparable in size to a rock. the power of this beast reaching the 4th rank. The girl said that 4th rank beasts were comparable to Heavenly Realm practitioners, and if they didn't retreat, they would all definitely die. Jai Wu Ji, a 7th stage Heavenly Realm practitioner, elder of the Jiao Wu intersect, and Jin's adopted son, appeared on the castle wall with a wave of his hand. This amazing master caused the great monster to be covered in bright light. The main character retreated, and to his surprise, he saw the power of heavenly purification itself. Later, all the masters rushed to cut up the monster's corpses, hoping to find some kind of artifact. The main character's first find was a 2nd-ranked demonic core, which was a very surprising discovery. But right after that, Li Fu Chen got even luckier, finding a high-quality 2nd-ranked demonic core, which could fetch 200,000 gold coins. As soon as Liao Hailong learned of this luck, he approached Li Fu Chen and demanded the core from him as an apology. Niao Qingmei took Senior Gao by the hand, as he was afraid that the young master might get hurt. Without hesitation, Liao Hailong rushed into battle, using the lower-level mystical rank sword art, the art of the Thunder Meter. The main character had no intention of losing, counterattacking with a lower-level mystical rank sword technique, the art of the Meteor Sword. To everyone's surprise, Liao Hailong's attack failed to achieve its goal and was completely repelled. The girls were shocked by this spectacle. The younger Li was stronger than they had expected. Immediately after that, the two masters began exchanging dozens of blows, each time ending in a draw. But suddenly, Li Fu Chen jumped high into the air, stunning the elder Liao so much that he did not know how to parry the blow. The attack reached Liao Hailong and knocked his sword out of his hands, blood spurting from his shoulder. Holding his wound, Liao Hailong told Li Fu Chen that he would kill him one day. The main character did not fall for his verbal provocations. He just walked up to him and punched him in the face. The elder Liao couldn't believe what was happening and asked Li Fu Chen if the young master knew who he was. But Li Fu Chen didn't care. He hit the elder again, saying that he was too noisy. Suddenly, 2 more masters appeared and turned on the younger Li for daring to insult their lord. These masters, unknown to him, turned out to be much stronger than the main character had expected, as they were at the 9th stage of the Sphere of Origin. But the senior Chen came to the main character's defense, protecting him with the art of a myriad of blooming swords. Liao Hailong's mediators did not understand Senior Chen's intentions and immediately asked a direct question. The girl said that by attacking a disciple of the inner sect, Deacon could fear disciplinary action. One of the masters said that his family, the Liao family, was an ancient family in Kangla City, and he advised her not to harm herself. Another elder stood up for Li Fu Chen, asking how powerful the Liao family really was. Suddenly, an elder appeared behind them, asking what was going on. This frightened the soldiers. The girl immediately revealed the truth that the Liao family wanted to kill Li Fu Chen and oppress the elder Chen. The subjects immediately bowed and began to explain that they had no such intentions. But Zhao Wuji did not believe their lies, and he used his power to pin the soldiers to the ground. The warrior begged for mercy, repeating over and over that the Liao family would no longer dare to oppose the Kangla sect. Weakening his power, Zhao Wuji ordered them to return and receive punishment from the disciplinary hall. Liao Hailong watched all this, and, with anger on his face, was sure that one day he would repay today's humiliation 100-fold. Soon, the 2 elders and Li Fu Chen found themselves in a restaurant of aromas, and a huge table of food spread out before them. The main character treated the seniors to a meal as a token of gratitude, and the senior Chen was amazed by the delicious food. As soon as they left the restaurant, they were met by Uncle Liao Hailong, who immediately turned to Li Fu Chen. The young master immediately declared that the main character must cut off one of his hands. The elder Chen turned to Liao Tianjun, saying that Li Fu Chen was her friend, so she suggested that her uncle leave. The guy advised Chen Fanghua to stay out of this matter, otherwise she would regret it. The second elder warned her uncle that if he dared to attack the elder Chen, she would not hold back either. Liao Tianjun first said it was a joke, then added that Li Fu Chen planned to hide behind girls for the rest of his life. The main character reminded Liao Tianjun that he was 31 years old and asked him for just 1 year, during which they could resolve this issue on the stage of the Fengyun internal sect. The uncle immediately rejected this proposal, as there was no point in waiting so long. The elder called him a coward because he was at the 8th stage of the origin realm and did not dare to wait. But apart from the elders, the other sect members began to whisper about Liao Tianjun in a negative light. Turning around, the uncle declared that in a year's time, they would meet on the Fengyun stage, and he would force Li Fu Chen to spend the rest of his life in bed. The main character's self-confidence only grew, and with a smile on his face, he declared that he would use this proposal against him. In order to improve his sword skills, Li Fu Chen practiced 100 low-level yellow-class sword techniques, and within 8 months, the young master had completely mastered the art of swordsmanship. The sword moved with the heart moved with the sword, and when the sword and the heart are one, you are invisible. Li Fu Chen was able to comprehend the true meaning of the art of the blade. The sect members congratulated Senior Yu Wen on his victory over Senior Tai Feng, who was at the 8th stage of the origin realm, but still posed no threat to Yu Wen. Yuan stated that Tifeng was just a third-rate disciple, and it did not matter to him that he was 2 levels higher. Soon the conversation turned to the promise made a year ago between Li Fuchen and Senior Liao Tianjun. Senior Liao Tianjun had already advanced to the 9th stage of the Origin Realm. Yuan said that Li Fuchen was too confident, and he hoped that he would not lose so quickly on the Fengyun stage. Soon, it was time for the Fengyun stage, and the year-long promise was finally fulfilled, with Junior Wang and Lin He fighting in front of them. Finally, it was Li Fuchen and Li Tianjun's turn to clash in the arena. The sect members heard that Li Fuchen had broken through to the 6th stage of the Origin Realm, which surprised them, because his cultivation speed was faster than that of a 4-star bone skeleton. Yuan doubted that Li Fuchen could take even 100 steps, to which a nearby sect member added that he would be able to take a maximum of 10 steps. Senior Chen sneered, saying that in her opinion, Liao Tianjun could insult anyone he wanted, but he shouldn't be rude to Li Fuchen. Senior Ming Yu told the elder about Li Fuchen's amazing strength, which he had come to see. Jai Wunjin, the peak of the heavenly sphere, added that his cultivation speed was not bad, but he was too loud. At that moment, a loud rumble echoed through the arena as Liao Tianjun launched his attack, but it was parried. Li Fuchen's counterattack was so terrifying that the entire arena was covered with cracks. The audience was stunned, no longer believing that anyone was capable of defeating Li Fuchen. Min Yue wanted to know her grandfather's opinion of Li Fuchen. The elder replied that his learning abilities were exceptionally strong. He could even instantly find flaws in his opponent's sword skills. Liao Tianjun was on the verge of defeat. The blade was no longer in his hands, and his body was trembling. Everything happened so quickly that he didn't even understand what had happened. The main character declared that Liao Tianjun was no match for him, and that he still had time to leave the arena. The elder did not want to lose, and he had to resort to his last resort, eating a pill. Ming Yue was surprised that Liao Tianjun took a pure ki enhancement pill. The elder decided not to interfere in the arena, even if the opponent was cheating. He wanted to see how long Li Fuchen could hold out. Liao Tianjun began to glow before their eyes, his sword swings becoming much stronger due to the effect of the enhancement pill. Now his strikes caused the entire arena to crack, and his sword swings reached the heavens. Liao Tianjun called Li Fuchen a coward because he was only capable of dodging, but he had another ace up his sleeve. The elder rushed forward, striking with all his might to finally get the main character. But once again, Li Fuchen dodged and ended up behind Liao Tianjun, preparing to attack him. The main character did not attack, but instead put his blade to his enemy's throat, putting him at a disadvantage. Li Fuchen said that Liao Tianjun had lost, but gritting his teeth, he was still not ready to admit defeat. With a dirty blow, Liao Tianjun sent the main character back, continuing the duel against all the rules. Liao Tianjun immediately rushed forward, and Li Fuchen's inner voice declared that his senior had dared to hurt him. Suddenly, the protagonist's face changed. It no longer resembled Li Fuchen's simple expression. The protagonist lunged forward and immediately cut off the arm of the presumptuous Liao Tianjun. In the next moment, the elder appeared and immediately swung his sword, but Li Fuchen dodged this fierce attack. It was Liao Yuntian, a 2nd stage Heavenly Realm cultivator and elder of the inner sect. He shouted at Li Fuchen, asking how he dared to cut off his son's left arm. Liao Yuntian stopped when Elder Zhao Wujin appeared in front of him and ordered him to stop. Jai Wun asked Liao Yuntian how he dared to undermine the rules of the Fengyuan stage, but the elder continued to insist, stating that Li Fuchen had cut off his son's arm, and now he could not let him go. Ji Wujin unleashed his power and told the elder to try to take the main character away from him. Ji Wenjin said that Liao Yuntian deserved it, and from that moment on, Li Fuchen was promoted to a disciple of the inner sect of Heaven's Pride. The main character thanked the elder, but continued to marvel at the power of the Heavenly Pride sect. After the events of the scene, Li Fuchen went on a mission in which he had to kill 3 opponents. On his way, he wondered how precious the Jade Buddha was. As he continued riding his horse, the main character sensed his enemies and told them to come out. They were several mercenaries of the 9th stage of the Origin Realm. The main character immediately realized that they were not from the Liao family, but were part of the 3 great families of Cloud Mist City. The senior deacon of the inner sect of the Earth Destruction Realm watched Li Fuchen. He noticed that there were many enemies, but they were not at the same level as Li Fuchen. Suddenly, another master in a robe appeared and asked the elder how the Liao family dared to try to kill a disciple of the Heavenly Pride inner sect. The old man realized that it was Elder Yao, and he said that it would be better to let him go, otherwise the Liao family would not let it go. But Elder Yao did not care about his words, and with one move, he pinned the old man to the ground, killing him. Watching the battle, Elder Yao said that he could only help Li Fuchen this once. The main character continued his mission, and soon he reached the Fei Shui mountain range. Li Fuchen approached the cave and declared that there were no other places left to hide. Inside the cave, the 3 brothers argued about who would go out today. The 3rd brother was supposed to go hunting. However, after a brief argument, the 3rd brother went hunting for food again, taking his trusty spear with him. But as soon as he approached the exit, Li Fuchen was waiting for him and immediately struck him. The 2nd brother rushed to defend his relatives, but he too was killed in a split second with a swing of the blade. The remaining warrior grabbed the Buddha statue and began to run away, but Li Fuchen had already noticed him. The young man had nowhere to run, and soon he took the blow, dropping the statue from his hands. As soon as Li Fuchen picked up the statue, he realized that it was a 3-star secret art of the mystical dragon of secret arts. In addition to the amazing artifact, a lake of century-old milkstone appeared before the main character. After taking off his outer clothing, Li Chen decided that training his body here would be more effective than using pills. Relaxing in the water, the main character made waves across the lake and suddenly noticed someone at the bottom. Sitting at the bottom was a girl, Yan Qingwu, from the inner sect of Tiansha. She was a disciple of the Proud Heavens. As soon as the girl noticed him, she jumped out of the water and drew her sword. The main character dodged the attack, immediately realizing that this girl was no more than 17 years old, and apparently, this girl was at the 8th stage of the origin of the basics. In addition to all this, Yan Qingwu had a 6-star bone skeleton. Li Chen took her hand to take the sword, but accidentally pulled her towards him. Yan Qingwu screamed that she would kill him, creating a strike straight from the heavens that pierced the cave. The girl told Li Chen not to leave if he had even a little courage, so that she could kill him. The main character began to run away, grabbing his clothes, realizing that this girl was too strong and his chances of winning were less than half. Li Chen continued to retreat when suddenly he noticed Yan Qingwu, who had jumped out of the water already dressed. While the girl was closing the distance, Li Chen managed to pull his blade out of the corpse of one of the 3 brothers. Yan Qingwu put the blade behind her back and it began to radiate a dark power, preparing for a further attack. The main character suddenly turned around and told the girl that if she wanted to fight, he would respond in kind. Yan Qingwu launched a long-range attack and a dark crescent-shaped slash rushed towards Li Chen. Li Chen raised his sword and created a barrier of jade power, hoping to defend himself from the slash. Yan Qingwu was surprised. The young master understood the meaning of the sword, which meant he was an inner disciple of the Kang La sect. The main character asked a counter question. Was Yan Qingwu an inner disciple of the Tiansha sect? The girl issued an ultimatum. She would spare Li Chen's life if he gave up both his eyes. The main character said that she had undressed herself and he had accidentally seen her, so it had nothing to do with him. Yan Qingwu rushed forward and began attacking again, declaring that the main character was seeking death. The girl swung her sword again, this time with even greater force, determined to kill Li Chen. The main character's speed surprised Yan Qingwu, as Li Chen was behind her, thanks to his impressive technique. They fought for 3 hours, but still couldn't finish the duel. Yan Qingwu gave another ultimatum. If Li Chen blocked her next strike, she would spare him. Her technique turned out to be a secret art that was much more dangerous than all her previous attacks. A huge dark crescent appeared in front of the main character, and he had no idea what to do. But there were no options left. Li Chen had to take the blow and try his best to block it. Still, he managed to survive. Yan Qingwu turned around and told him to live for now, then began to leave. At that moment, the main character grabbed his chest and began coughing up blood. His strength was running out. Yan Qingwu disappeared, saying that she would take his life next time, leaving him alone in the cave. Li Chen was glad that his defense was good, which is why he wasn't too badly injured. Yan Qingwu had to leave, and the main character needed time to cultivate his secret art and gather the power of the Milkstone. A month later, people noticed that the hero Li Chen had returned, and everyone was curious to know if he had found the 3 Wang brothers. The man wanted to know about the Jade Buddha, which he immediately received after completing his task. The man added that they welcomed the hero Li, and he could stay with the Zhang family to cultivate the secret art. A few days later, the young master Qin Yang and his subordinate broke into the Zhang residence. The elder immediately went out to the young master and asked what business he had with the Zhang family. The subordinate ordered his daughter and a betrothal gift of 100,000 gold coins to be brought to the young master. The man declared that this was a blessing for the young lady, but the young lady already had a lover. The subject raised his sword and called it insolence, saying that no one dared to disobey the Ma family or they would be destroyed. Qin Yang said that the head of the Zhang family intended to detain a member of their Ma family, so he was now being sent away for questioning. Suddenly, the young lady came out and ordered the masters to stop, saying she agreed to go with Qin Yang. The head of the family put out his hand and told his daughter to stop. If Qin Yang dared to touch her, he would fight him. Li Chen also appeared. He turned to the young master and asked who had given him the courage to show off his skills. The subject asked a counter question, how he dared to deny the young master Qin Yang, and then rushed into battle. But a single blow was enough to send the insolent subject flying into the nearest wall, leaving Qin Yang in shock. In the next moment, the protagonist struck Qin Yang in the groin with such force that his leg glowed with power. The 2 broken masters decided to retreat, telling Li Chen to just wait until they returned with reinforcements. The head of the family told the hero Li that the Ma family had a 2nd stage earth destruction practitioner, thus bringing danger upon himself. But the confident hero was not afraid. If they dared to come, Li Chen would show them his power. A week later, this is exactly what happened. A high-level practitioner attacked Li Chen, accusing him of what he had done earlier. With a wave of his hand, the sword was knocked out of the experienced master's hands, forcing him to reconsider his intentions. It was already clear to everyone that Ma Taichong also could not cope with the hero, but Li Chen decided to finish him off using the pure key of the Dark Dragon, an otherworldly meteor. A beam of such incredible power and speed quickly reached Ma Taichong, managing to hit his hand. In the next moment, the attack ended, and the experienced master's arm disappeared, confirming Li Chen's victory. The main character declared that from that moment on, anyone from the Ma family who dared to set foot in the Zhang residence would be killed without mercy. The master asked Guan Yilong and Yang Duo if they had done anything to Li Fu Chen, as he had not yet returned. But Li Tian only received the answer that the young master had a normal bone structure. It was a good opportunity to clear his family tree if Li Fu Chen died on the mission. Yang Duo added that they just needed to take care of themselves. Be careful not to fall and die while walking. But suddenly, a master passed by them and noticed that they were both in a very good mood. The main character returned, and Li Tian was very happy about the return of the glorious hero, unlike the two surprise masters. Li Fu Chen said that he was not dead yet, and asked the masters if they were disappointed by this. Hearing the aggression in Li Fu Chen's words, Guan Yilong asked him not to rush, for they were at the entrance to the sect. Li Fu Chen did not care. He used his power and forced the two masters to their knees. While Li Tian marveled at Li Fu Chen's incredible increase in strength, the main character asked what was wrong with humiliating the masters. The leader of the younger generation of the Shen Tu family appeared, and Shen Tu Jinming asked the young master what he was doing. Li Tian said that it had nothing to do with Shen Tu, and Li Fu Chen advised him to leave if he did not want to be disgraced. The insolent master began to shout, asking Li Fu Chen if he really wanted to rebel and wasn't afraid that the Shen Tu family would punish the Li family. Raising his hand, the force spread to Shen Tu Jianmin, and the confident master found himself on his knees. With discontent on his face, the main character said that he had never respected the Shen Tu family. Under the pressure of the force, Shen Tu gritted his teeth and said that he wanted Li Fu Chen dead. The main character began to beat him until those watching nearby noticed that his handsome face had turned into a pig's snout. But Jian Liu Hu Huang appeared, saying that the three masters should leave, wait for the right opportunity to take revenge. This time, Ba Jian also began to exert his power. The pressure around him grew stronger, and he asked Li Fu Chen if he knew what his provocation would lead to. The main character only replied that he was the first to provoke him, continuing to compete in strength. Simply from the pressure of the aura, the three masters and everyone around them could not move and felt excruciating pain. The elder ordered everyone to stop immediately, then told the rest to disperse, as there was nothing to linger for. A few days later, the bell began to ring, and the masters began to run to that spot, for it signaled an impending problem. The elder revealed that in 3 months, the secret realm of Bai Chao would open. He would select 10 people from the Kang La sect to participate. Li Fu Chen was delighted with this opportunity, as the secret kingdom of Bai Chao would allow him to quickly break into the realm of earth destruction if he went there. The rules for the initial selection were very simple. You would be considered to have passed if you were able to leave a mark on the stone. The first to pass was the senior Ba Jian, who punched a hole in the stone 2 8/10 of a centimeter wide. Senior Chen was afraid that Junior Li had offended someone he shouldn't have. Next up was Li Fu Chen, who had barely reached the 7th stage of foundation formation. Some even suggested that he leave and not embarrass himself. As soon as he struck, a huge mark remained on the ground, and the hole was 1/10 larger than Ba Jiang's. The sect members were shocked. Li Fu Chen had grasped the meaning of the sword, while only at the 7th stage of the foundation stage. He was even better than the senior sword maniac. After the initial selection, the competition began in the open arena. Whoever won 10 fights in a row would make it into the top 10 of the inner section. After winning another duel, Ba Jian challenged Li Fu Chen to a fight. After so many victories, a smile lit up his face. Li Fu Chen agreed without hesitation and soared into the air, grabbing his sword to get it. Ba Jian thought that 100 moves would be enough to win, but Li Fu Chen was sure that even 1,000 would not be enough. Ba Jian Liu Wu Huang, the sword demon, and Li Fu Chen. This was the most exhilarating battle of the competition. The girl was amazed. Li Fu Chen completely surpassed her. She, Mei Jian Chen Fenghua, was nothing compared to him. But Jian Liu Wu Huang decided to use a special skill to win. Raising his sword, it began to glow with a new color. A huge slash was aimed at Li Fu Chen, but he did not move, causing the sect members to believe in their defeat. 3 swings were enough to completely neutralize Ba Jian's amazing ability. The elder watched the arena intently, finally able to witness the 3-star secret art in Li Fu Chen's hands. The main character brought the blade behind his back, enveloping it with a golden dragon. It was time to end the duel. Even with all his defenses, Ba Jian was unable to protect himself. His blade broke, and his body was covered with wounds. Liu Wu Huang was defeated, and now the sword demon Li Fu Chen would become known by this nickname. Sometime later, Li Fu Chen mastered the 2-star secret art of quick steps. He still had 2 months left, which was enough time to strengthen his combat skills and sword techniques. 3 months later, the events moved to the mountain range of the 4 cities, where 2 beasts were rushing towards him. The main character was riding a griffin, and after landing, the man riding the second beast asked him to wait. But Li Fu Chen could not wait any longer. It was already too late, and he began to move forward, finding himself in the middle of 2 sects. One side was the Quan Dao sect, all of whose followers had gathered, ready for battle. The next sect was the Ling Yin sect, led by an old woman and younger followers. The Tiansha sect was also there. The main character noticed Yan Qingwu, who had already reached the 9th stage of the foundation stage. Li Fu Chen understood that the girl had already grasped the meaning of the knife. She definitely had a 6-star bone skeleton. One of the masters turned to Yan Qingwu and asked the girl if someone from the Kangla sect had offended her. This master was the son of the sect leader, and he offered to take care of whoever had done it. But the girl asked him not to stick his nose where it didn't belong. The sect leader called everyone a bunch of useless trash and ordered the disciples of the Tian Sha sect to kill anyone who stood in their way. The head of the Quan Dao sect also said that if they encountered anyone from the Tian Sha sect, they should destroy them without delay. The elder revealed that this was a feud between sects. After entering the secret realm of Bai Chao, each of the sect members would be sent to a specific location where they would need to be wary of certain people. In the Quan Dao sect, the one who looks like a ghost and wields a large sword is the internal leader, Feng Dao Dan Hai. If they encounter him, it would be best not to confront this monster. Another leader is the inner disciple, the young master Dao Mu Yu. He killed a third stage practitioner of the earth destruction realm. The girl behind him was also a prominent master, Ye Hua, a master illusionist. Li Fu Chen said that even if they are strong, they are still human beings. Nothing is certain except death and taxes, so there is no need to raise the morale of others. The elder considered these words wise, after which he turned to the disciples of the Kang La sect and said that if they were forced to enter the battle, they must show the skill of the Kang La sect. A wooden gate rose from the ground, a bright portal lit up inside it, and the sign said, Bai Chao. Senior Chen and another sect member were making their way through the woods when her ally was suddenly attacked. Her comrade soon died, and an enemy appeared before her, leaving the elder with nowhere to run. The man with a large scar on his face and 3 iron claws was from the Tiansha sect. Zhao Gui Zhengshu, Senior Lu, who was at the peak of the foundation stage, fell with a single blow, leaving Chen with no choice but to fight. The man gave her an ultimatum. If she undressed and served him until he was satisfied, then he would not torture her, but simply let her have a good time. This quickly dampened her fighting spirit as Zhao Gui continued to approach her, repeating that she should surrender. Li Fu Chen was on a rock nearby, and, noticing this, asked the senior if she needed help. Zhao Gui immediately recognized him as Li Fu Chen, the chief disciple of the Kang La sect. The enemy understood that Li Fu Chen was probably weak because of his 7th stage of foundation cultivation, but the main character showed 3 fingers and said that to kill him, he only needed 3 skills. Without saying another word, Li Fu Chen rushed into battle, covering himself with a golden aura, and quickly found himself next to the enemy. Surprised by such speed, Zhao Gui tried to quickly apply his Yuming Gui Jiao technique, but his metal claws could not withstand such an onslaught, and broke. Zhao Gui did not understand how it was possible that his enemy understood the meaning of the sword so well. The man summoned a dozen dark spheres, directing them at Li Fu Chen and telling him to die. When they exploded, Zhao Gui decided to run away to find a place to break through to the first stage of the Earth Destruction Sphere. But no matter how hard he tried to escape, Li Fu Chen easily caught up with him and ended up in front. Zhao Gui told Li Fu Chen to let him go, or he would bring trouble to the Kang La sect. The main character refused to listen to him, and it was time to fulfill the second promised skill. Zhao Gui took out his shield and began to block the attack, but its power knocked him to his knees. The main character crouched down and said that he was going to use the 3rd skill, during which Zhao Gui would die. The next moment, the warrior's head was on the ground, and he saw only his headless body standing there. Senior Chen admired Li Fu Chen because in just 3 months, the younger Li's strength had increased so much. Nearby, a 3rd-level magical beast was sleeping on the ground, a large red beast, and next to it was a stone with a flower growing on it. Senior Chen realized that this was the fruit of the earth, which allowed a practitioner of the 9th stage of the foundation stage to break through to the 1st stage of the earth destruction realm. The red beast sensed the unwanted guests, woke up, turned around, and growled at the masters. The main character asked the elder to step aside, then rushed forward, creating the illusion of a golden dragon behind him. Li Fu Chen's sword began to sparkle, and the beast decided to attack, also glowing with red light. But the main character dodged the enemy's paws, then rushed forward and pierced the beast's body. The monster did not die, but continued to attack. This time each attack was unsuccessful, and Li Fu Chen easily circled around the monster. The beast fell, and the main character landed gracefully on the ground to finally pick up the flower. Li Fu Chen gave the fruit of the earth to the elder. With its help, she would be able to break through into the sphere of destruction of the earth. The main character said that there were 6 days left, and they weren't sure if they could find another one, but the elder's breakthrough was very important. Closer to nightfall, the elder Chen created a whirlwind of her power, and finally broke through to the sphere of destruction. At the same time, Liao Wushuan, Xiaobi Li, Bai Tao, and Lin Wangqing from the Kang La sect also broke through to the realm of earth destruction. Meanwhile, the Kuang Dao sect and Lin Ying had 6 people left, attacking the remaining 8. Yan Qingwu was fighting the master at that moment, telling him that the 1st stage of the earth destruction realm was not enough to deal with her. Suddenly, the girl split into 3 illusions of herself, surprising the master, who did not understand what this secret technique was. The warrior attacked the eldest Chen, continuing to beat her while laughing at her skills. When the girl retreated far enough, she gave a signal, after which the main character appeared behind her. The main character jumped so high that he was right above the enemy and accelerated during flight. The enemy blocked Li Fu Chen's attack and called his opponents 2 small ants. Suddenly, the master unleashed his power, and tongues of dark energy began to appear around him, stunning his enemies. Chen Fei He from the Quan Dao sect appeared behind him, not expecting Lin Huang to be wounded by 2 ants. But besides Chen Fei He, two masters appeared on the side of Li Fu Chen and the elder Chen, who decided to help him. The two sides decided to fight for the flower. Li Fu Chen had 4 masters on his side against 2 assassins from the demon sect. A girl appeared on the tree and suggested to the brothers of the Quan Dao sect that they join forces with her and deal with the Kangla sect together. The main character quickly realized the abilities of this mysterious girl and told the masters not to look her in the eyes. The bloodthirsty brothers did not dare to believe the girl, and, saying that Li Fu Chen was lucky, they decided to leave. Since the Quan Dao sect did not want to play with the girl, she climbed down from the tree and asked Li Fu Chen to play. Using a mysterious power, the protagonist emitted a powerful sound wave and ordered the girl to leave. The warrior found this ability fascinating and told Li Fu Chen that they would meet again. When the girl disappeared, the protagonist's allies were amazed by her terrifying art of illusion. The master suggested that Li Fu Chen cultivate the grass of origin and break through to the 8th stage of the origin of the fundamentals. Li Fu Chen broke through to the 8th stage of the foundation stage in a short time, but everyone else continued to fight at that time. Meanwhile, Liu Wuhuang faced Feng Dao Duanhai, and even Bai Tao and Lin Wangqing. They had no chance of winning. The 3 masters arrived and told the elder Duan that they were there to help him. But surprisingly, the masked master ordered the warriors to leave, throwing his sword at them. The Tiansha sect was also there, and one of their warriors rushed forward, declaring that the Kangla sect must be destroyed. Li Fu Chen's ally noticed Liu Wuhuang, who was being pursued by 7 masters. Wu Huang was bleeding, and his breathing quickened from exhaustion, but finally his face lit up with happiness as he saw his salvation. It was too late. The Tiansha sect master had already caught up with him and was twirling his spear to attack. Li Fu Chen managed to rush forward and block the warrior's attack, giving Wu Huang a moment to escape. The sect members were stunned that the elder Li had managed to knock him back. In a fit of rage, he ordered the others to help him and attack together. The main character was not worried. He only said that there were only 7 enemies, and if they wanted to attack them, they would win. Feng Dao Duankai noticed the main character and rushed forward to engage him in a duel. At that moment, Senior Li rushed to the main character's allies, saying that he would deal with the weaklings. Li Fu Chen lunged forward, landing right in front of Senior Li and asking him where he was going. The main character threw his sword forward, and the blade began to levitate, cutting down the sect members in its path, leaving only 2 masters. To his surprise, 2 masters remained alive, and Li Fu Chen said that he would deal with them soon enough. Because of the main character's arrogance, Senior Li and Duan Hai decided to launch a joint attack. Huge moon blood dragons and 28 strikes from mad demons appeared. Li Fu Chen was not nervous. He cried out and released his 15th level mystical skill, Red Fire. Even after blocking the attack, the warriors did not lose their temper. They raised their swords again and rushed forward. An explosion occurred, and in addition to the collision of the attack, a beam from the heavens struck the point of battle. Li Fu Chen jumped back and swiftly slit the throats of 2 weaker masters on his way. While the masters clutched their necks, the main character snatched a bag that was filled with something. Soon, reinforcements from the Tiansha sect arrived, and they asked the elder who they were fighting. Duan Hai said it was the sword demon, Li Fu Chen. He was already so strong, being at the 8th stage of the foundation stage. No one knew what would happen if he made a breakthrough. Suddenly, Senior Li realized that the deceased had a spatial storage bag with foundation-building herbs. Tiansha began to chase after Li Fu Chen's tracks as a group. They couldn't allow him to cultivate the foundation grass. The demonic sect noticed the interesting turn of events and decided to join in subduing the main character. Li Fu Chen's group was at the cave. He was sitting inside and gathering strength while his allies defended him. Senior Chen threw a dozen balls that began to ignite, straight at the sect members. The balls exploded, throwing the cultists away from the cave, and once again, they were unable to break through to Li Fu Chen. 3 of the main disciples attacked, causing the Kangla sect to resort to using a mystical shield for protection. Their defense quickly crumbled, and Senior Li was the first to run into the cave, furiously searching for the main character. Noticing the red sparks, Senior Li suddenly realized that Li Fu Chen had broken through and advised everyone to run. The sect members outside the cave were surprised by the shaking of the mountain and the falling rocks around them. The first to run out of the cave were the 3 main disciples. The masters were completely wounded and barely breathing. When Li Fu Chen came out of the cave, the master who had come out of invisibility appeared behind him. The main character smiled, cut the master's neck, and told them to come whenever they wanted. Li Fu Chen could not go any further and was attacked again. Black and White, 2 devils summoned him. Senior Li was delighted, for the joint attack of the Black and White devils could unleash enormous power. Even this attack was unsuccessful, so he unleashed his power and told the devils to go away. Another master rushed forward and suggested that all members of the sect attack the main character together. The main character counterattacked and killed several masters with the power of Red Jade. The spiritual child of the Lin Ying sect, Mei Xiao Mao, asked Li Fu Chen how he dared to kill a disciple of his sect. The spiritual child did not scare the young master at all. He simply kicked him, weakening his last enemy. Suddenly, Li Fu Chen noticed an illusionist in front of his eyes who asked him if she was beautiful. The main character strained his gaze and threw the girl back, completely dispelling her spell. The girl had to disappear. She had to retreat because his mind was too strong. A smug Li Fu Chen asked his enemies if they were still able to attack him. One sect member rushed forward, deciding that he would kill the people inside the cave first. The main character did not allow this to happen. He swung his sword and killed the sect member from a distance. Even the strongest disciples of the sects decided that they could do nothing and began to flee. Returning to the cave, the girl asked the main character where the enemies were. Since he had returned, she received the answer that everyone had fled. Wu Huang was surprised that Li Fu Chen was really capable of defeating the experts from the 3 major sects on his own. When Li Fu Chen's team came out of the cave, they noticed a dark beam in the middle of the forest. The beam came from Yan Qingwu, who was cultivating and increasing her power, causing a violent reaction around her. Senior Li entered Yan Qingwu's presence and congratulated her on breaking through to the first stage of the Earth Destruction realm. The master nearby realized that Yan Qingwu had a 6-star bone skeleton. She was on the same level as Li Fu Chen. They had to kill them as soon as the chance arose. On their way, Li Fu Chen and his allies found 3 Earth Destruction fruits, and the main character decided to take one of them. After dividing the 3 fruits, Li Fu Chen and the 2 masters began to cultivate, while the other 2 protected them. The youngest Wen was the first to rise, achieving a breakthrough and receiving congratulations from the others. The second to achieve a breakthrough was Wu Huang. A purple snake appeared above him, and he considered himself stronger than Li Fu Chen. But an even larger golden dragon appeared next to him, signifying the breakthrough of the main character. The elder Chen was interested in how strong the younger Li was now. If he was at the first stage of the sphere of Earth Destruction, the main character declared that he could kill each of his former enemies with a single blow. Li Fu Chen heard someone's voice, and it turned out that the sect had decided to attack the main character's group again. The main character asked them to leave before they ruined his mood, otherwise they would face death. Senior Li was afraid that Li Fu Chen had broken through to the first stage of the Earth Destruction realm, but they had 6 practitioners of the second stage of the Earth Destruction realm and 4 practitioners of the first stage. Releasing all his auras, Senior Li was confident of victory and challenged Li Fu Chen to a fight. Wu Huang was also ready for battle, telling his enemies not to be arrogant just because they had more people. In the next second, the main character summoned a golden dragon, which unleashed its wrath on the sect. The energy of Li Fu Chen's golden dragon reached terrifying temperatures, burning his enemies. The main character told his enemies to die, then released a huge burst of energy. Li Fu Chen's classic strike was so powerful that he managed to defeat 2 sect members. Senior Li was surprised that his palm was so powerful, after which he told everyone to leave. The heavenly child began to run away, but Li Fu Chen appeared behind him and reminded him that there was no point in running away. While everyone was running away, only Yan Qingwu decided to go to the main character, leaving him with the question of why she was still there. The girl said that he had killed 3 people, as he had killed the disciples of all 3 sects, and the Kang La sect would not be able to protect him. The main character asked the girl if she was afraid that he would kill her too, while she was standing in front of him. Yan Qingwu understood that she was no match for Li Fu Chen, but if she wanted to leave, he would not be able to stop her. Immediately after that, the girl split into 4 illusions and gradually disappeared. For the next 3 days, Li Fu Chen and the others searched for medicinal herbs at their leisure. Luck did not turn away from Li Fu Chen, as he was able to find 1 bunch of 3-star rainbow glass grapes and above, with which he could improve his bone skeleton by 1 level. So Li Fu Chen was able to improve his skeleton to 1 star. Soon, the disciples had to go out, and Elder Quan Dao, Hao Lianhu, Elder Tian Sha, Wei Yiping, and Elder Lin Ying, Lao Yu argued about whose group would be the largest. All sects, except for Kan La, were the first to leave. Members of each sect were wounded, and not all of them returned. The elders were shocked. Only 3 people remained from the Quan Dao sect, 13 people left the Tian Sha sect, and only 5 of them survived, while only 5 people remained in the Ling Yin sect. The Kang La sect finally came out of the gate, and 6 of them survived, their bodies perfectly healthy. Elder Hao was delighted that his Kang La sect had won, but suddenly he heard that Li Fu Chen had killed many disciples. The old man turned to the young master and asked him if it was true, to which the main character asked a counter question, wanting to know if they would have problems because of this. The elder replied that he had never met disciples as strong as Li Fu Chen, and as long as they did not kill them all, the Kang La sect would not have to worry about war. Hao Lianghu, Wei Yiping, and Lao Yu ordered the main character to apply the law of equivalent exchange, because he had killed the sect members and must lose something himself. Elder Hao awakened his power and asked who decided that their disciples could kill the disciples of the Kang La sect, but Kang La could not do the same. The main character was amazed by this incredible energy, realizing the true power of a master of the heavenly sphere. Lao Yu told Zhao Wujin that he would not be able to protect his disciple alone. The main character understood that the elders only respected the strongest. They were just trying to find an excuse to get rid of him. Wei Yiping also turned to Zhao Wujin, asking if he really thought he could block a joint attack from the 3 elders. Immediately after these words, the 3 elders unleashed their amazing skills, aimed at the head of the Kang La sect. Kang La's art blocked all of these pathetic attacks. The elders couldn't believe that this art had advanced to the 19th stage. Zhao Wujin declared that if he couldn't protect a single disciple, then he had no right to show his face. After that, the elder unleashed his noble spirit. The elders also released their spirits, and 100 lost ghosts, the fighting spirit of Jade, and the shadows of emptiness rushed into the attack. But once again, Elder Zhao blocked the attack. The Kang La sect members knew that their leader would not last long. Finding himself on the brink, Zhao Wujin allowed the elders to experience the main secret art of the Kang La sect, thousands of returning swords. Wu Jin was shocked by this amazing technique and promised himself that one day he would master this 5-star secret art. Lao Yu was frightened by this technique. She turned back into her original form and said she was joking. Wei Yiping was sure that Zhao Wujin probably had nothing more than a few thousand spirit swords. But realizing that he couldn't take such a risk, Wei Yiping asked the elder to settle the dispute next time. Turning around, Zhao Wujin said that they would meet again next time, and now it was time for them to leave. When Li Fuchen returned to the Kangla sect, he exchanged everything he had collected for contribution points. The next day, he broke into the first floor of the Passerby Tower, successfully becoming one of the outstanding Golden Direct disciples, and exchanged for one of the sect's third-rank martial arts, the Heavenly Flame Technique. In 3 days, he turned the 13th level Heavenly Flame Technique and one 15th level technique, the Art of Red Fire, into contribution points. He also exchanged for an additional lower level mystical sword art. The Art of the Shining Sword was finally mastered by the main character, and he could finally return home. In the city of Cloud Mist, the residence of Li, the girl begged the clan elders to help her father, Xiao Dai. The elder replied that Xiao Dai's father was to blame. This senseless backstory of Shen Tulan, even if he was beaten to death, no one was to blame. The man clenched his fist, realizing that the elder had taken a bribe and had no intention of helping from the start. The girl calmed him down, saying that news had come from the Kangla sect. Li Fu Chen had reached the 7th stage of the foundation stage, and in a few years, when he returned, the Li family would be on the right path. The main character arrived at the Li residence, and the guards asked who he was, but Li Fu Chen asked them to open their eyes. Li Fu Chen brought his father into the hall and sat him in the seat of the Li family elder. The elder went inside and asked Li Tianhan why he was sitting in the clan elder's seat. Tianhan asked the elder why he, as the clan elder, had forced Xiao Dai to marry. Her father was beaten to death because he did not agree, but instead of helping, he helped strangers. The main character joined the conversation and declared that the Li clan elder was now changing. The elder shouted and called the main character a bastard, saying he should die for such insolence. Li Fuchen believed that the elder was overestimating himself, after which he activated his abilities and forced him to his knees. Another old man appeared and asked the main character how he dared to act so freely. The old man fell to his knees when he realized that Li Fuchen had reached the first stage of the Earth Destruction Realm, and his power far surpassed theirs. As soon as the elder agreed to relinquish his position, someone entered and declared that Elder Kang La Tieshan could not be expelled. It was Yahello, a disciple of the city lord Yin Fen. She was also Li Tieshan's future daughter-in-law. Her cousin Xiang Tianqiang was the one who became Bai Yin's disciple. The main character didn't want to listen to this nonsense anymore, so he shot a small part of his energy from his hand, causing Yahello to fall. Li Fuchen said that she dared not threaten him, being a mere disciple of Bai Yin. Now it was time for Li Fuchen's father to rule the Li family, and the 2 greedy old men were killed by the main character. How dare the Shentu family intimidate his Li family? They deserve to die. When Li Fuchen left the building, Xiao Dai was in front of him. Grabbing the girl by the shoulder, the main character jumped into the air. The girl was happy that Fu Chen had finally come to his senses. The main character burst into the city lord's residence, telling Shen Tu Liang to drag his ass over to him to receive his deserved punishment. 3 guards immediately rushed to attack, asking the protagonist how he dared to enter the city lord's residence with such an arrogant attitude. Li Fu Chen used a piece of the guard's sword and threw it at the warrior's neck, killing him on the spot. The first stage practitioner of the Earth Destruction Realm was instantly killed. Li Fu Chen declared that he would kill anyone who dared to take another step. The city lord came out of the residence and said that Shen Tu Liang was already his subordinate. The main character just wanted to know who Shen Tu Liang was, but the guy believed in himself because his cousin was at the 5th stage of the Earth Destruction Realm, and what's more, he was the lord of the city of Cloud Mist. Shen Tu Liang decided to break the silence, saying that he was wrong in this situation, but Xiao Dai had seduced him. The next moment, the main character swung his sword, and Shen Tu Liang's head fell from his shoulders. The city lord used the mystical art of Red Fire, level 14, preparing for battle. The closed sword technique clashed with the blade wielded by the main character. The closed sword fully opened, covering Li Fu Chen with dozens of crystal cuts. The attack hit the main character and threw him back, flying right through Xiao Dai. Li Fu Chen got up, wiped the dirt from his face, and said that it was no surprise that the city lord was at the 5th stage of the Earth Destruction Realm. The city lord rushed forward and said that today he would show the main character the difference in their powers. But all the city lord's delusions were useless, as Li Fu Chen had not yet used his power. The main character stretched out his palm and released such a powerful beam that it eclipsed the lord. The guards, who were still alive, were surprised that the city lord had lost. No one knew about such a strong member of the Li family. The main character raised the token and declared that he was a golden direct disciple. From that day on, Li Fu Chen stripped Shen Tu Jianhan of his position as city lord of Cloud Mist. In 3 days, the Shen Tu family must leave the residence. Anyone found in violation of this will be killed. In just 1 day, Li Fu Chen, who had just become a golden direct disciple, expelled the city lord and clan elder of the corrupt Li family. The news that he had seriously injured Shen Tu Jianhuan spread throughout the city of Cloud Mist. Many young people began to revere Li Fu Chen. At night, the Guan family, the Yang family, and the Shen Tu family left the city of Cloud Mist, fearing the wrath of the golden disciple. In Yinfeng City, the residence of the city lord, a girl came to her uncle and said that Li Fu-chen was too arrogant, demanding protection. The lord replied that tomorrow they would go together to Li Fu-chen to offer a sincere apology. As soon as the girl was surprised by these words, a young master appeared and told her that she was too reckless. Tian Cheng said that direct disciples had a certain rank. Li Fu-chen was a golden direct disciple. He could even expel some city lords. There were many people who tried to flatter him, but instead, some tried to insult Li Fu-chen. The girl accepted it after all, and she turned to her uncle and cousin, saying that she had been wrong all this time. Since then, the Li family has received a mountain of gifts. The Li family has now risen to power in the city of Cloud Mist. The main character was about to set off, telling his relatives that he did not know when he would return home. Currently, the Li family is at the top. His father and mother will take care of Xiao Dai, especially since Li Fu-chen gave them a huge number of secret scrolls and pills. Li Fu-chen doesn't have to worry about his family. He was finally able to return to the Kang La sect while the Li family continues to grow. His soul has turned light blue. The main character's power of understanding has also increased. Li Fu-chen did not want to let the golden talisman down. Where there is good, there is also evil. Evil factions devoured people under the jurisdiction of the Kang La sect. As soon as Li Fu-chen returned to the Kang La sect, he used his terrifying power of understanding to master the Shadow Wind, Shadow Step, and Iron Hands. Later, after mastering the sword storage technique, he achieved 7 types of low-level mythical class sword fighting skills and 3 types of low-level mythical class sword mastery. While the protagonist was drinking tea, the sect member entered the room and was invited to sit down. It was the elder Xiang who told him about the evil factions that were causing riots. Li Fu-chen heard about them for the first time and asked Xiang if the master wanted him to take on the mission to destroy them. A few days later, the disciples arrived at the Shenfen Hall, the 7th branch. The main disciples hunted down many villains. Their deeds would be recorded, and they would be rewarded with contribution points based on their results. The senior turned to Li Fu-chen and advised him to stay away from the junior Chen Fanghua. Li Fu-chen didn't understand why the master was so arrogant, but he replied that he was now stronger than the main character. Senior Xiang asked him to be careful, as Zhang Kuo-mei was at the 3rd stage of the Earth Destruction Realm, but even that rank did not scare Li Fu-chen. Zhang Kuo said that the main character was talking too loudly, after which he rushed forward. Zhang Guo approached Li Fu-chen, then unleashed dozens of palm strikes. The young master lunged behind him, reminding the master that he was not strong enough. In the next moment, the main character and Zhang Guo collided with their blows, creating a flash with their palms. Zhang Guo continued to attack, but each of his swings missed, seeing only the smiling Li Fu-chen in front of him. When the protagonist's shadow disappeared, he found himself on a tree. Zhang Guo was surprised that the young master had mastered quick steps. He was sure that Li Fu-chen couldn't be faster than his sword. But even as he swung it, the main character disappeared again. Li Fu-chen was behind him again and struck him in the back, saying that Zhang Guo couldn't keep up with him at all. The ceremony was beginning, and the sectarians did not care why they were fighting, for the bell had already rung. The scouts had reports of evil groups. The warriors would finally have a chance to prove themselves right. Among the warriors was a popular man, the insensitive sword, Senior Shui Feng. Li Fu-chen knew only 5 people with an aura as powerful as the insensitive sword. The organizer announced that the demonstration was about to begin, and the warriors needed to gather quickly. The battlefield began to turn red. Dozens of zombies, like dozens of warriors, had already died. The main character fought the dead man, who couldn't even get close because of the golden dragon. The dead man waved his hand, his claws creating a magical splash of ranged combat to finally hit the enemy. The main character aimed his sword at the dead man, shooting him with a burst of power that split his body in 2. Li Fu-chen noticed that the heavenly insensitive sword was surrounded by 3 dead men. He was facing 3 monsters at the 5th stage of the Earth Destruction Sphere alone, and Li Fu-chen wanted to help him. But the insensitive sword only created wings for itself, which managed to hit 3 enemies in 1 attack. The 4th dead man was in the sky, directing all his power into a single strike. But all that power did not reach the insensitive sword, and the zombie was cut into many pieces. The main character was frightened by such terrifying sword art. The power of the insensitive sword was truly amazing. Soon, the conversation returned to Li Fu-chen, a master at the 1st stage of the Earth Destruction Realm. He was capable of easily defeating an opponent at the 6th stage of the Earth Destruction Realm. He was one of the 2 strongest disciples. The 2 strongest disciples of the Kang La sect attacked the leader of the demon faction, who was afraid of dying. The demon leader turned to the warrior behind him and asked Silao to help him, but in return, he demanded 5 million gold coins. The elders realized that Silao was at the level of a heavenly sphere practitioner. People began to flee from the top. Silao continued to kill, and people begged for help. The demon soared into the air and waved his hand, creating a wave of energy, hoping that everyone in front of him would die. One of the masters stepped forward and decided to protect the disciples by taking on Silao's attack. The attack was successfully dispelled, but in the process of blocking it, the sect members were seriously injured. The sect members rejoiced, as did the deputy head of the hall, Liu, who was also at the heavenly sphere stage. Silao realized that he would not be able to earn 5 million gold coins, so he simply wanted to kill 5 more disciples. Li Fu-chen managed to jump high, but a sadder fate befell the other cultists. The deputy put his hands forward and brought down an attack from the heavens on Silao, but despite his power, the demon continued to wreak havoc. The demon decided to flee, saying that there was no need to see him off, for he would return for his head. Despite destroying the demon faction, Shen Feng's hall suffered heavy losses. The main character was surprised by the difference between each layer, for it was like heaven and earth. Li Fu Chen would have died if the demon had headed straight for him. On the record board, the insensitive sword was in 5th place, having killed 98 enemies. The sword maniac and the tiger sword were in 1st and 3rd place, respectively. Li Fu Chen was not very happy with his result, as he was in 148th place, having killed only 4 zombies. The demon commander declared that his 7th division was missing and could not simply be let go. Another monster asked him not to rush, saying that after gathering troops in 3 days, they would destroy the 7th division of the Shen Fen Hall in one fell swoop. The main character decided to rest and cultivate at that moment, almost reaching a breakthrough. His Heavenly Flame technique reached the 15th level, and his Earth Destruction Sphere reached the 2nd stage. Hearing a strange noise, Li Fu Chen assumed that the demons were attacking them again. The elders returned to the division, warning that the demons were approaching, that individual units could not hold them back, and that all units should retreat to the 6th division. There were 5 enemies of the Heavenly Sphere against them, but there were only 3 in the unit. The elders ordered the soldiers not to be distracted. They had to break through to escape to safety. The main character slowed down, and Senior Xiang wondered why Li Fu Chen had done so. The truth was that they looked too young, and the demons could easily guess that they were the main disciples. Therefore, the best solution was to keep their distance. The demon appeared in front of the groups of disciples, slowly raising his hand toward the first group. The demon's shot created a dark beam that instantly killed the horses and disciples. The next beam hit close to the core disciples, killing the elders right in front of them. The demon noticed the 3 survivors and said mockingly that 3 fish had slipped through the net. Realizing that he had found the main golden disciples, the demon immediately attacked with his senseless sword. The young master threw explosives at the demon to escape him, covering him with a wave. Turning back, Li Fu Chen continued to run on his horse. Fortunately, the insensitive sword distracted the enemy. At this time, the demons had already managed to reach the deputy head of the Hong Hall and kill him. The demon grinned and decided to see how many times Li Fu Chen could dodge his palms. In the next moment, the enemy was close to the main character, his palm getting closer and closer to Li Fu Chen's face. The young master did not have enough speed to dodge in any way, and he had to take the blow. The main character was pinned to the stone, and as the demon swung again, Li Fu Chen thought he would die there. The demon said that a simple 1-star skeleton had the opportunity to die at the hands of a practitioner of the Heavenly Sphere. But the demon did not kill Li Fu Chen. He had to put up a shield, because he was being attacked from a distance. The 6th division managed to arrive in time to help, and the warriors immediately began to exterminate the demons. The number of demons increased several times over, and Li Fu Chen realized that he had to run. But the young master no longer had the strength to flee. Falling to the ground, the main character thought that this was the end. An elder appeared in the air, his aura covering the battlefield, and he shouted, asking who dared to invade the territory of the Shen Fen Hall. The patrol elder unleashed his wrath on the demons, firing a volley of magic shots at them. Li Fu Chen was barely conscious, but he managed to witness the patrol elder's astonishing power. A few days later, Li Tian announced that the demons had destroyed the 7th division, killing many of the core disciples. The patriarch of the Kangla sect decided to launch an operation to destroy the demons. On the same day, the Kangla sect sent several masters of the realm of rebirth, at which time Li Fu Chen regained consciousness and continued to cultivate. They destroyed 15 demon divisions in the Kangla area. The masters of the realm of rebirth wanted to kill all the demons in the Kangla area, but a small number left the area. A week later, Li Fu Chen successfully passed the 2nd level of the main disciple's trial tower, and the insensitive sword reached the 3rd level. The main character exchanged the secret 3-star technique, along with the high-level sword art Xuan, and after cultivating for some time, he decided to go outside to practice in order to become stronger. Li Fu Chen came to the hall of the main disciples and told Elder Zhao that he wanted to train in the outside world in order to improve as quickly as possible. Since the young master's heart was set on this, the elder decided to give him 3 arrows that repel evil, which could save him if he encountered powerful enemies. Half a month later, Li Fu Chen took a horse and rushed into the outside world, exploring the plains of Baijian. The elder watched his student ride away, saying that he would walk the rest of the way alone. The main character assumed a disguise while he wandered in the city of flying knives. The man accepted him, for which he received gratitude from Li Fu Chen. There were masters in every sect here, and the disguise was extremely helpful. Otherwise, the encounter with enemies would not have ended well. As the main character walked down the street, a homeless boy approached Li Fu Chen, greeting the master practitioner. The main character threw a gold coin to the boy, asking him to take the master to some interesting place. The boy thanked the master, saying his name was Xiao Kong, and he wanted to take him to the old treasure street, where he could try his luck. On that very street, there were dozens of shops with all kinds of goods, the prices of which were extremely inflated. Li Fu Chen came to the Fei Dao Guwu store with old treasures and was intrigued by a shiny skeleton in the shop. Xiao Kong asked the main character not to pay attention to the treasure shop because everything in that shop was a scam. Li Fu Chen wanted to know about Xiao Kong's family. The boy revealed that he had a younger sister and that their parents were powerful practitioners. but they had not returned. The main character suggested that the boy go check on his sister, but Xiao Kong said that he had to keep his word. Taking the gold coin, the boy wanted to finish his job. Li Fuchen sent Xiao Kong to his sister, saying that he would visit them soon. The main character still decided to go into the treasure shop, looking at the crystals lying on the counter. The salesman said that Li Fuchen had a keen eye. He was looking at some weapons from dangerous lands, which usually sold for 1,000 gold coins, but would only cost the master 100. Although the price was cheap, the main character understood that it was a man-made fake. Suddenly, the young master became interested in one piece of metal, a small green piece of iron that felt strange in his hands. Just by holding this amazing metal in his hands, the main character found himself in another dimension. Immediately regaining consciousness, Li Fuchen smiled, assuming that this metal could be part of a die-level weapon. The master decided to take this piece of metal, and the seller was disappointed because he considered it to be bad metal, so he allowed him to take it for free. While Xiao Kong was returning home, some poor people attacked him. Noticing that the guy had bought food, they realized he had money and attacked him. The buns were trampled, so the bullies took the last thing Xiao Kong had left in his hands. Xiao Kong said that Luo Ge could take everything, but at least leave the medicine that belonged to his sister alone. Li Fuchen appeared next to them, calling them poor people and asking why they were bullying someone like him. Xiao Kong continued to cry, telling the master practitioner that they had ruined his sister's medicine. Li Fuchen said he would give him back the silver coins and some money for medicine. The bullies decided to leave for now and returned to Xiao Kong when the practitioner left. The young master turned around and used his strength to throw the bully to the ground, saying that he had not given them permission to leave. The main character reached out to Xiao Kong, offering to visit his sister, which quickly calmed the boy down. Xiao Kong and his sister live in a very damaged house, and because they are malnourished, they are often sick, but with Li Fuchen's pills, they quickly recovered. After that, Li Fuchen threw a real feast for the two of them, and then sent them to a restaurant in the city of Shuishe. On the old treasure street, the young master of the Ma family and brother Li tried to find precious things. Brother Li suggested a little treasure hunt competition, when suddenly he sensed the passing master. Thinking that it was the main character, the elder Li turned around and ordered the soldiers to seize him. The main character turned around and asked the craftsmen if they needed anything. He deliberately made a surprise face to divert suspicion from himself. Practitioner Ma was surprised that this man had angered Senior Li, but Senior Li said he had made a mistake. As soon as Li Fuchen moved away from the masters, he rushed forward to escape before he was exposed. Senior Li noticed the protagonist running away, so he realized it was a disguise and asked Li Wushu to catch him. Soon, a poster appeared on the walls with Li Fuchen's face and a wanted notice. Several masters headed for the residence, breaking a stone lion statue on their way. The guards asked the masters who they were to act so presumptuously on the Ma family's property. The masters turned out to be the elder of the internal sect of Kan La and his two guards. The elder was angry that the Ma family had dared to include their disciple on the wanted list. The eldest member of the Ma family told the disciple never to associate with the major sects again, for they could not afford to anger them. Li Fuchen was drinking water from a stream when he suddenly sensed someone's presence and sharpened his senses. The main character climbed a tree as someone approached. A certain master was chasing Fan Chen Song and Fan Chen Yu. Fan Chen Yu said that they would not have run if the master had not poisoned them beforehand. The guy said that victory was the only thing that mattered. What he was saying now didn't matter. The Yin sect and the Tianxia sect were at the peak of their development, but both sides were at the 8th stage of the Earth Destruction realm. The despicable master continued to mock the weakened sect members, while Li Fuchen pondered whether he should help them. Just as the master began to hope for victory, the protagonist appeared before him, preparing to attack. Li Fuchen lunged forward, breaking the master's blade in his path and cutting his body in the process. The disciples of the Wu Yu sect approached the protagonist, thanking him for saving them. Li Fuchen introduced himself, revealing that he was from the Kang La sect, after which he offered the sect members help with the poison. After curing the sect members of the poison, Chen Yu asked Senior Chen where he planned to go next. The main character admitted that he had no plan. He was just training here. Chen Yu revealed that they had a piece of a map to the tomb of the rebirth practitioner and invited Li Fuchen to join them in their treasure hunt. The map was divided into 4 parts, which were in the hands of the disciples of the Quan Dao sect, the Chang Chun sect, the Wu Yu sect, and the Di Ho sect. The 4 sects would meet in a week in the city of Mi Wu and put the map together, then head to the tomb. Li Fuchen was intrigued by the proposal and gladly accepted the invitation. When they arrived in Mi Wu city, Chen Song and Chen Yu entered the room, bringing Li Fuchen with them. The master of the Dai Ho sect, Song Qinghe, told Song that she had brought in an outsider, which seemed unfair. The girl told Sun Qinghe that the rule was that they could not bring practitioners from the heavenly realm, but no one said that they could not bring people from outside the sect. Sun Qinghe considered this a joke, as Li Fuchen was only at the 2nd stage of the Earth Destruction realm and could die in the tomb. Kun Chongshan from the Quan Dao sect was surprised that Sun Qing he would go into the tomb alone. Xianyu said that the people of the Changchu sect were so slow, and immediately after these words, someone opened the doors. Wei Shan, her from the Changchun sect, and Su Mu Yu. The girl was considered the #1 beauty of the Changchun sect. Li Fuchen tensed up because Su Mu Yu possessed a 6-star bone skeleton. Sun Qinghe turned to Su Mu Yu and greeted her, but the girl ignored him. Song Qinghe gritted his teeth and suggested they begin, since everyone was already there, but Kun Chongshan asked him to wait. He added that he had invited the main disciples of the Tiansha sect to join them. As soon as Senior Li entered, he shouted Li Fuchen's name and ordered him to show himself. Since the masters had already guessed his disguise, the main character had to take off his mask. Tian Song and Qian Yu were both surprised. Li Fuchen turned out to be very young, and he was one of the most talented people they had ever seen. The senior sect member Tian Sha was enraged. He had finally seen the very Li Fuchen who had killed many of his disciples. The next second, there was a loud crash inside the building, and Tian Sha attacked the main character, breaking through the wall. Tian Sung stated that this man was at the 8th stage of the Earth Destruction Realm, and they had to help Li Fuchen. Tian Yu convinced her that they should not help because Li Fuchen had to deal with this himself. Senior Li did not believe what was happening, and he kept asking himself the same question. How could Li Fuchen be so strong? Sumu Yu drank tea at this time, saying that the understanding of the sword at the middle stage of the Zhuan level was indeed strong. The sect member Tian Sha continued to swing his weapon, never once hitting Li Fuchen. The master used 18 stone tornado strikes, putting all his strength into the attack to defeat Li Fuchen. Qian Yu asked the Tiansha sect to calm down, and he had to join the fight, stopping the master's weapon. Senior Li turned to Kun Chongshan, saying that Li Fuchen had also killed many disciples of the Quandao sect, including the spiritual child, Jian Xiaomao. Chongshan was shocked and asked the main character if there was any truth in these words. As soon as Li Fuchen confirmed the authenticity of these words, Chongshan rushed into battle, wishing death upon the main character. Qian Yu tried his best to block the enemy's attacks and help the main character. The battle was not coming to an end, and Qian Song sided with Li Fuchen, just as the elderly sided with the enemies. The main character picked up a small piece of metal, and Qian Yu noticed it. It was the weapon he had used to kill the disciple of the Yin Yi sect. Sumu Yu spread her wings, and the entire battlefield changed color. She was going to kill anyone who dared to take even a step. Wei Shanhun would have said this to Su if they really had no desire to die. Song Qinghe also decided to take action, telling everyone that since they had grievances against each other, they could fight whoever they wanted as soon as they reached the burial site. Both sides decided to reach a truce for a while, and Sumu Yu suggested moving forward. Soon, the warriors found themselves at the lost misty grave, eager to reach the treasures as quickly as possible. Suddenly, they noticed a bat, which, judging by its appearance, had already turned into a demon. Sumu Yu lunged forward, her blade cutting through the bat with one swift movement. The girl possessed enormous strength. Although she was only at the 4th stage of the Earth Destruction Realm, her power was already comparable to that of an insensitive sword. The path ahead was safer, the entrance was very close, and the warriors found themselves right in front of it. As soon as they wanted to go inside, the main character asked Qian Yu to kill his enemies first. Li Fuchen turned to Kun Chongshan, throwing a dozen smoke shells at him. The others tried to open the doors to the tomb. Sumu Yu noticed the battle behind her, but did not pay much attention to it. As the smoke continued to dissipate, the enemies noticed that the main character was using a shield. Senior Li said he would kill Li Fuchen, but judging by the appearance of the masters, they were all wounded. Apart from the battle, the gates to the tomb began to open by themselves, emitting an extremely bright light. Because of the open gates, Li Fuchen and the others covered their eyes, as the gates were too bright. The next moment, Li Fuchen found himself inside the dungeon, but there was no one around him. There was a chandelier on the roof, which suddenly shot blue fire at the main character. At first, Li Fuchen wanted to block this attack, but decided to dodge instead, as it was the blood of a 6th-level blue flame beast. Even masters of the realm of rebirth would not be able to escape it, so blocking it would be useless. On his way, Li Fuchen noticed a gate. He thought there were treasures inside and headed there. Approaching the gate, the protagonist noticed that instead of a passage, there was an impenetrable barrier. Li Fuchen put his hand behind his back, filling it with power, intending to break through the barrier with martial arts. But his blow left only a small dent in the barrier, and the protagonist's hand began to ache. The main character thought that this was a test of the martial arts master's intentions. The master decided to take up his sword. A golden trail remained after the sword swing, and this blow managed to cut through the mysterious barrier. The sectarian Tian Sha also tried to break such a wall, but he did not have enough strength to break through such a dense barrier. Suddenly, a golden beam struck him, piercing his chest. It was an attack by Li Fuchen. As soon as the master turned to his enemy, the main character struck him with his sword. The guy told Li Fuchen that the Tiansha sect would not let him go if he dared to kill the Tiansha master. The main character continued to rush forward, because the Tiansha sect would not let him go, even if he left the master alive. Li Fuchen attacked anyway, and after each cut on his body, he said that he was sorry, and if Li Fuchen let him go, he would never oppose him again. The young master finished off the sect member, whose corpse fell to the ground, and he began to sheathe his sword. Li Fuchen used his power on the sect member's corpse, and obtained a bag containing star stones. This life pool technique could be useful. It could save a person in a difficult situation, but in exchange, it would shorten their lifespan. The sect member was not actually dead. His eyes were covered with black flowers, running through the veins on his face. Li Fuchen first met Fan Qian Yu, and the two continued to explore together. Later, he encountered some familiar enemies, Li Wuxue and Kun Chongshan. Li Wuxu decided to attack Fan Qian Yu, and the confident Kun Chongshan said that 10 blows would be enough for him to win. The protagonist used a light step and shadow wind absorption to easily dodge the attack. Kun Chongshan continued to attack, saying that he would not be able to dodge all 10 of his blows. The main character was surprised by such confidence in 10 strikes. Kun Chongshan used the inevitable net style and delivered numerous strikes. The young master smiled and stretched his arm forward, shooting an arrow that repelled evil. The golden arrow pierced Kun Chongshan's chest, causing him to spit blood from his mouth. Kun Chongshan waved his arms and unleashed more power, throwing the main character away from him. Qian Yu attacked from behind, and Kun Chongshan had to turn his attention to another enemy. Li Fuchen realized that now was his chance, and with a wave of his hand, the master threw a piece of metal. Kun Chong put up his shield to defend himself, but it didn't help. The piece pierced straight into his body. The master immediately swung his spear to knock his opponents away and get back into the rhythm of the battle. Li Fuchen fired another arrow to protect himself from evil, which Kun Chong was unable to dodge. The enemy used a bloody strike, surrounding himself with a dense wave of power, which forced the main character to jump back. As soon as the beam disappeared, Li Fuchen shot another arrow, this time aiming it at Kun Chong's head. Fan Qianyu saw a chance to attack, approached the enemy, and swung his stick at the arrow. Senior Li began to run, realizing that escape was now the wiser option. Fan Qianyu rushed forward, asking Li Fuchen and Chen Song to recover while he caught up with the enemy. But soon the young master returned, his pursuit unsuccessful. But during that time, the masters had recovered. Li Fuchen asked Chen Yu to recover, after which they could go in search of treasure. At this time, the other masters were in the inheritance hall, trying to catch the levitating balls. Noticing this, Chen Yu couldn't believe his eyes. Before them was the mythical technique of inheriting the balls. While everyone was trying to catch the balls, Li Fuchen was looking for spheres that would be beneficial to him. The main character noticed a golden ball that was different from the others. It looked as if it had reached the rank of emperor. The masters were slower than Li Fuchen, but they were closer to their chosen spheres. The better the inheritance, the more difficult the chase became. When the warriors finally caught their inheritance, a powerful technique entered their minds and temporarily disabled the masters. Since the main character couldn't catch the sphere, he decided to use techniques to attract it. Surprisingly, it worked, and the golden sphere approached him and pierced Li Fuchen's forehead. The main character received a fragment of the secret 6-star sword technique. To turn his own body into a weapon, he needed to consolidate the weapon marks on his body. Once the marks are complete, the master will obtain a sword body. He will not need swords. His own body will be like a sword, condensing black iron marks to obtain a black iron sword body. The main character noticed that this was only a fragment, but it was already a 6-star technique, which was actually a secret strengthening technique. Knowing this technique also knocked Li Fuchen out, and when he woke up, everyone around him was cheering. Sumu Yu had a 6-star secret technique and understood that Li Fuchen had also gained such power, but no one should know about it. Suddenly, the warriors who had been killed by the dungeon or by Li Fuchen's hands entered the hall. The bodies of these masters were possessed by an evil spirit. Large marks appeared on their faces, and their behavior changed dramatically. Sun Qinghe rushed forward, hoping to remove the evil spirit from his younger brother Gao's body. Using the growth on his body in the form of a tail, the evil spirit threw Sun Qinghe against the wall. After the 6th level demonic beasts die, demonic spirits emerge from their corpses. They can take control of the body of a weakened practitioner, turning them into freaks that are neither human nor beast, creatures in between that hate everything. Wei Shan He said that demonic spirits are already strong before death, but after rebirth, they use other practitioners to become even stronger. Sumu Ix rushed into battle, and the lizard-like demon collided with her, knocking away the girl's scythe. Li Wushu's body was possessed by a mosquito demon, which flew into the air to attack. Li Fuchen realized the impending danger and told the masters to quickly run back to the temple. Song Qinghe was wounded and had difficulty moving, and because of his slowness, the demon was able to catch up with the master. Having lost one master, the other warriors ran forward without looking back as the demons approached. Li Fuchen decided to try to delay the enemies by shooting another arrow against evil. The tiger-shaped demon was not particularly harmed by the arrow. Roaring, the monster pulled the arrow out of its chest and continued running. The masters found a stone door, behind which they decided to barricade themselves. Li Fuchen stood up first and waited for everyone to go inside. Before entering the room, the main character waved his hand, throwing a dozen poisonous pills. Since the demons were slowed down and the stone door could hold for a while, it was worth acting accordingly and cultivating while there was still time. The 5 masters began to cultivate, enveloping themselves in the burning flames of their powers. The main character was able to break through to the 3rd layer of the Earth Destruction Realm, becoming the first to reach the highest power. Sumu Yu was surprised that he had broken through. Now Li Fuchen would be able to deal with the demonic spirit alone. Realizing that he had broken through too quickly, Li Fuchen decided to spend the extra time meditating on the 3-star secret technique. 3 days later, Sumu Yu announced that she had mastered the 1st layer of the Heaven and Earth Evergreen secret technique. The demons were still waiting for the masters and continued to bang on the door, pushing it to its limits. The main character said he had an idea, something that could kill several or even all of them at once. Soon, the demons broke through. The monster said mockingly that now they would not be able to hide. Li Fuchen had already prepared his plan with the other masters, giving his signal when he saw the demons. The blood of the 6th level blue flame beast covered the room completely, burning the beasts. Some demons managed to jump out of the flames, seeing through the cultivator's plan. Sumuha rushed forward, saying that she would take on Li Wuxue, while Li Fuchen would kill the second demon. The enemies clashed, but Sumu Yu's scythe was not very effective against the demon's strong claws. Now Li Wuxue possessed a more terrifying technique, turning his hand into a kind of drill. After sustaining minor injuries, Sumu Yu admitted that Li Wuxue had become quite strong by absorbing Song Qing's blood. The tiger laughed at this, saying that Li Fuchen would not defeat him even with his treasures. Qianyu called Qiansong to attack the tiger together and help the main character defeat him. But Qianyu was attacked from behind, his younger sister stabbing her brother in the back with a knife. Li Fuchen immediately understood what was going on. Even though they burned the demon's body, it escaped and possessed the girl's weak body. Another master began to attack Li Fuchen, and Wei Shan, he was also captured by the demon. The masters wanted to escape, but a black void appeared at the exit, repelling anyone who dared to touch it. When the monsters noticed this, they immediately fell to their knees and called the gate their master. Suddenly, a tall figure in a cloak emerged from the gate. The stranger was so bright that he practically radiated light. Sumu Yu and Li Fuchen quickly realized that this could be the spirit of a powerful practitioner. The spirit appeared behind the warriors, saying that many years had passed since anyone had finally found his tomb. The tiger said that they could finally leave this tomb and find glory in new bodies. Li Wuxue revealed that the master had been killed by many powerful practitioners, and the spirit had been locked in this tomb. The spirit turned to the two demons that had taken possession of the bodies of Qiansong and Wei Shan He, telling the demons to leave the masters. After that, the master personally went to the girl's body to test her strength. After taking possession of the body, the spirit was extremely disappointed, as Chen Song had a 4-star skeleton and a weak soul. The next one was Wei Shan He. Li Fuchen was surprised, because it was the first time he had seen a spirit choose a body for itself. Li Fuchen wanted to leave, but neither he nor Sumu Yu could move, their bodies shaking with every attempt to move. The monster possessed Qian Yu, surprised to find that he had a 5-star bone skeleton with a fairly good soul. It would not be difficult for him to regain his strength, but the spirit decided not to stop there, for there were 2 more masters before him who surpassed Qian Yu's skill. Li Fuchen didn't know what to do. If the spirit took his body, it would be worse than death. When the spirit entered Sumu Yu, the girl was able to fight back, and the spirit was surprised by the strength of her skeletal frame and spirit. The spirit managed to completely absorb Sumu Yu's body, saying that she could have suppressed it if the spirit had not reached Do Lin, but his gaze fell on Li Fuchen, who seemed stronger than her. The spirit decided not to think too long, quickly moving its consciousness into the body of the main character. Once inside, he saw a huge cloud in front of him. The spirit did not understand what level his soul was at, and whether it could be considered a human soul. The main character held a blade in his hands and jumped out of the cloud, attacking the spirit to knock it out of his body. The spirit fired a small burst of power, killing Li Fuchen, but it was only an illusion. Surrounded by many illusions, the spirit decided to wave its hand and kill them all. But lowering his guard, the spirit missed the real Li Fuchen, who had already thrust his sword into the spirit. The creature was flattered. The master could indeed harm it. Li Fuchen's spirit power was incredible. Realizing that Li Fuchen's potential was incredible, the spirit decided to take complete control of his body, creating a layer of armor for protection. The spirit approached the cloud of his soul, raising its palm to suck out his consciousness. But Li Fuchen's soul was able to throw the spirit back, causing part of its hand to evaporate. The master was still confident, rejoicing that this soul might be a secret treasure of the heavenly sphere. Suddenly, the protagonist's soul began to emit a bright light that immobilized the spirit. The amazing master could not understand what had happened to him. A voice declared that such an insignificant ant as he dared to enter the body of the one he had chosen, considering it a reckless act. The same voice declared that the spirit had no right to know of its existence, radiating more and more power with each passing second. The spirit of an incredibly powerful cultivator was easily killed by an unidentified deity in Li Fuchen's body. The main character came to his senses, not understanding what had happened, but feeling that his soul had become even stronger. The demons noticed the movements of the body and congratulated their master, but Li Fuchen revealed the truth that their master was dead. The enemies couldn't believe it, and in a fit of rage, they attacked the main character. The technique of 9 spinning swords easily blocked the demons' attacks, creating a golden shield around the hero. The demons couldn't believe such power. The young master had not only blocked the attacks, but also repelled them. In the next moment, the main character swung his sword and killed the tiger with a scorching red jade strike. The spirit escaped from the cultivator's body, but Li Fuchen killed it with his spinning sword technique. The demon Li Wuxue called Li Fuchen a monster as he watched his ally being killed with ease. The enemy tried to escape, but his attempts were futile. The main character caught up with and killed the demon in one fell swoop. After killing the demon, its soul tried to escape, but Li Fuchen also killed it with a long-range attack. Soon, the main character returned to the others, and they could hardly believe that it was really him. Qiansong said that while everything was fine, they should leave this tomb, because this place was too strange. Li Fuchen and the others safely left the tomb, and at the same time, something big happened in the Tiansha sect. The secret art of Shu was lost, and the patriarch was furious, and wanted to know who had killed his son. If his subjects could not find the killer, all of his son's enemies would be added to the wanted list. Everyone would be hunted down and killed. Li Fuchen, a disciple of the Kangla sect, was wanted. He had angered the Tiansha sect, and a reward of 10 million gold coins was offered for his head. While in the Black City, the inner courtyard of Shuisi City, the main character was under pressure from the Ghost Sword, achieving mastery of the secret 4-star technique, the technique of Black Iron Essence. Waving his sword forward, Li Fuchen created a small dark sphere that destroyed the stone wall in its path. In this fragment, there are 3 parts. Li Fuchen has only learned the first part and is already so strong. The young master decided that it was time to check what the secret realm of the starry path was hiding. A blue sphere appeared around Li Fuchen, which began to rapidly shrink. The main character found himself in another world. He had heard that this place was connected with cultivation and potential, and only practitioners of the sphere of earth destruction could enter. He had also heard that each step slightly increased cultivation. His body felt several times heavier than usual. Yehua told the patriarch that the Tiansha sect had put up wanted posters and was tracking down one of their disciples, Li Fuchen, with a reward of 10 million gold coins. Zhao Wujin replied that the sect had gone too far and that it would not benefit the main disciples. Liao Haiwang said that as far as he knew, the young master of the Tiansha sect, Li Wushui, had died and Li Fuchen was involved. They should wait until everything was clear. Jaewon asked what outsiders would think if they couldn't protect their golden disciples. Liao Hai asked why the sect should cover for the disciple if he had made a mistake. Besides, his bone skeleton was useless, and he would not be very helpful in the future anyway. Jae-woon revealed that his potential had already surpassed that of the sword maniac, Li Fuchen, and that he would only bring trouble to the sect if they continued to fight. The patriarch said to tell the Tiansha sect to stop hunting Li Fuchen, otherwise the Kangla sect would also hunt down one of the Tiansha sect's best golden disciples. Liao Hai said that it seemed more like the Tiansha sect was going to start a war. Patriarch Ouyang Wentian stood up and said that he had decided to go there personally and resolve the issue. Comments fell around the main character, but he continued to run forward. It was very hot in the dimension, and Li Fuchen did not understand whether it was reality or illusion. The main character continued to run forward, and next to him was another master who suddenly fell to the ground. The young master did not understand why this happened, because his cultivation was at the same level, but he simply fell. The only assumption was that it was related to his potential. Ahead was another group of cultivators, led by Han's older brother, one of the 7 stars of the Tianxing sect. Han Feng said that the secret realm of the starry sky was truly mysterious, and he should have checked it out long ago. One master could no longer continue as the group moved away, saying that next time he would treat his elder brother to food and drink. The group noticed another master, whose speed clearly exceeded theirs. It was Li Fuchen. Han Feng also decided that they should not slow down. Rushing forward, his group began to run after him. The main character smirked, saying that the overconfident master wasn't even sure of his own abilities to compete with him. Soon they reached the end of the starry path, finding themselves at the pass before the second level of the realm. Suddenly, the realm began to vibrate. A loud sound filled the space, and the weaker masters could barely hold on. The main character did not care about the noise that appeared, saying that it only made his ears ring. The vibration stopped, and when everything calmed down, Li Fuchen and Han Feng released their spiritual strips. Han Feng asked the sect member if this was the reward he had mentioned, because the master felt that his cultivation had increased significantly. The warrior replied that it was indeed the reward, but only one person could receive it. Everything quieted down, and finally, a path began to appear, marking the way to the second level. The force of gravity increased, and now the weight was many times heavier than before. The main character did not slow down his pace. He rushed forward, leaving Han Feng behind. The masters couldn't believe his speed, and Han Feng couldn't allow trash to surpass his skills. Leaving his allies behind, the avid master also rushed forward, hoping to catch up with Li Fuchen. Han's older brother could still run so fast, he managed to get close to Li Fuchen and maintain the lead. Han Feng's allies were not fast enough to catch up, so they began to slow down, discussing Li Fuchen and his tricks in their final steps. Soon, Han Feng and Li Fuchen disappeared in a cloud of dust, raised by the speeds the two warriors had developed in the heat of competition. 15 miles had already passed, and Han Feng was sure that he had overtaken the main character and left him behind, but suddenly he saw a shadow. Li Fuchen was still nearby, and although such running had exhausted the master, Han Feng was still able to maintain his lead. The main character called the self-confident master slow, after which he accelerated significantly. Using his light step ability, Li Fuchen increased the gap between him and Han Feng even more. The master's face changed. He was extremely angry that he could not defeat Li Fuchen, but he was sure that this was not the end. On the second level of the secret realm of the Star Path, there was also an illusion of an iron statue, which Li Fuchen found first. The young man declared that this illusion was very interesting. After it disappeared, a monument with a name appeared in front of him. It listed the rankings of all the best 6- and 5-star bone skeletons. First was the mark left by the Sword Maniac, the Sword Tiger, and the Insensitive Sword. Looking at the leaderboard, the main character noticed that a brush had appeared in front of him. Taking it in his hands, Li Fuchen left a mark on the board, using golden ink. Han Feng soon reached the table, but the illusion was too strong for him, and it took him half an hour to escape. The master immediately wanted to find Li Fuchen's mark, and when he found it, the shock overwhelmed the young man. This mark was similar to the potential of a king. The patriarch of the Kangla sect, Ouyang Wentian, told Li Tian to immediately stop hunting Li Tian, and he would pretend that nothing had happened. Li Tian replied that he had killed his son, Li Shui. Li Tian must pay for his deeds, and Yang Tian had better not stop him. Yang asked the patriarch of the Tiansha sect if he had seen Li Tian kill Li Shui. Li Tian replied that there was no need to worry. He would not kill the main character right away. After returning Li Tian to the Tiansha sect, he would interrogate him personally. Yang declared that Li Tian would be killed if he entered the Tiansha sect. His words were nonsense, and Li Tian had to recall the order of hunters. Otherwise, he would make sure that the golden disciples of the Tiansha sect could not leave again. The patriarch asked Yang if he really intended to go against him, for he knew what it was like to lose a son. Yang Tian asked why the patriarch had allowed his son to leave if he already knew his fate. Summoning the mighty devil Asura, Li Tian said that many years had passed since their last battle. Now they could see if Yang had become stronger. When Tian was calm, raising only one hand, he summoned thousands of returning swords behind him. Asura struck, and a multitude of swords flew into his hand, creating such a large sound wave that it lifted everything into the air. The wave hit the sect's walls, turning the training ground into chaos for the disciples due to the collapse of stones. Yang Tian apologized, saying that even after so many years, he was still the winner. Li Tian replied that he would be forced to start a war with the Kangla sect because of the loss of his son, but Yang was sure that this would not happen. The patriarch had no evidence to support his claims. Even if the Tiansha sect started a war with them, he would not let the Tiansha sect leave, even if Kangla was destroyed. Li Tian understood that if they really started a war, the Tiansha sect would suffer heavy losses, and other sects would destroy them later. The patriarch declared that sooner or later, he would destroy the Kangla sect. The hunt for Li Tian would be called off, but it was still too early to say how he would die. Yang Tian said that if he found out that the Tiansha sect was behind this, the disciples of that sect would have to watch where they were going. Li Tian continued on his way on the third level of the star path, and soon another warrior appeared before him. The sect member said he was from the Yahello clan, then asked the hero which sect he was from. The main character recognized the master, who was one of the 10 young heroes of the Douling clan, and expressed his respect. He then introduced himself. The guy wanted to know from Li Tian what treasure he had used to get this far. The main character replied that the star path was so mysterious that he had not thought to use treasures to cheat. The master was surprised that Li Tian did not rely on the power of treasures to get here. Suddenly, he launched a vicious attack, but the main character had anticipated this move and easily dodged it. The master said it was just a joke. He just wanted to test his potential. Li Tian shouldn't have been on guard around him. The main character no longer saw the need for this, called the master a loser, and then rushed forward. The warrior knew that Li Tian was only at the 3rd level of earth destruction, but he dodged his attack at full power, even though he was at the 6th level. Li Tian was too fast for him. The master continued walking and noticed lightning in the sky. The one who caused these strange signs of power was too terrifying a master. Han Feng noticed the lightning and fell to his knees, unable to believe that it could have been caused by Li Tian. In the city, Fang Qiansong and Fang Qianyu wanted to know where Li Tian had gone, but they had to hurry to the autumn tea party, which was held once every 10 years. Qiansong suggested leaving a letter for Li Tian, hoping he might be able to join them. The master suggested that Li Tian might have reached the 4th level, but no one had ever reached that level in one go before. Using the power of the secret realm of the star path, Li Tian broke through to the 5th layer of the sphere of earth destruction in one go, and finally, step by step, he reached the 5th level. The gravity became much stronger with each level, and at the end of the 4th trial, Li Tian awaited his test. His own embodiment began to appear before him, the same appearance, only with modified eyes. Li Tian had to fight himself. The main character tried to attack the copy, but his attacks were completely copied. Enraged, Li Tian shot a beam of his power at the pathetic copy, killing it instantly. A monument appeared, marking the end of the trial. Now, Li Tian had to leave his mark. Only people who had come all this way could leave their names here. Not many people had left their names on the 4th monument, let alone the 5th. When he reached the monument, Li Tian noticed that there was not a single name mark on it. The secret realm was in chaos, indicating that a certain master had managed to reach the 5th level. The main character returned, as moving through the 6th level was too difficult, almost impossible for him. There was a note on the gate written by Qiansong, inviting Li Tian to an autumn tea party. The main character decided to attend the event, surprised by how many experts there were in the area. Qianyu noticed Li Tian and said that there would be an arena and prizes for participants at this tea party. A master nearby told the main character that the Tiansha sect had been hunting him, but they had ended the hunt before it even began. But, in addition to this, there were some golden disciples from the Tiansha sect here, and one of them was ranked 101st on the list of stars, Xiao Mo. The main character noticed that master, realizing that Xiao Mo must be stronger than the insensitive sword, Shui Feng. Xiao Mo also noticed Li Tian, realizing that the information was incorrect. Li Tian was at the 2nd level of earth destruction, but now he was at the 5th. At that moment, there was a duel in the arena. The warrior struck a blow to finish off his enemy, but a flower appeared in place of the sword. It was Qin Keishu. She saved the master, saying that they were no longer connected to each other, and that tea drinking prohibited killing. Qianyu revealed that Qin Keishu, ranked 88th on the list of stars, was the strongest person at the tea ceremony. Li Chen noticed that the girl was at the intermediate stage of mystical mastery and could unleash all her power. Suddenly, someone shouted the name of the main character. The Golden Core disciple of the Tiansha sect, Hu Ming, wanted to deal with Li Chen. Tainga told Li Chen to be careful, because this guy was at the 7th layer of earth destruction. The main character took the guy by the shoulder and started walking forward, telling Chen Yu not to worry about him. The duel took place, and very quickly it was coming to an end, with Li Chen dominating the battlefield. Xin Kashu could only marvel at how the main character held back against someone 2 levels above him, and he always attacked his opponent's weak points. Hu Ming said he hadn't used all his strength yet, but in the next moment, he was struck down by another attack. Xiaomo couldn't stand by and watch his clanmate being beaten so easily, so he decided to join the fight. But Qin Kashi stopped him, saying that they were both on the list of stars, so they shouldn't fight. Xiaomo said that the main character was lucky this time, but next time, he wouldn't be able to hide behind a woman. Li Chen said mockingly that Xiaomo should be happy, because he had kept his position on the star list. The warrior told Chen Song and Chen Yu that they shouldn't hang out with Li Chen, because he would only bring trouble. But the brother and sister believed in him. Another master rushed into battle. He was not on the star list, but he wanted to shut Li Chen up. The master said that the warrior who entered the fight was the Golden Core disciple of the Chang Dao sect. The master was surprised when the warrior, on whom he had pinned all his hopes, fell beside him. Next, the best disciple of the sword sect, Yun Shi, attacked the main character, but he was also easily defeated. The devilish whip of the demon Tang Shiqi. She is the sworn enemy of Qin Kashi. She was on the list of stars and wanted revenge. Tang Shiqi immediately attacked Qin Kashi, telling the girl that she would not be able to escape the tea party while her whip was there. Taking advantage of the commotion, Xiaomo decided to attack the main character while Qin Kashi wasn't looking. Li Chen covered his sword with red jade fire and pierced Xiaomo's palm, but it did not break. The red jade failed to destroy the magical palm, and Li Chen had to dodge it. Xiaomo suggested that the main character see how many more times he could dodge his attacks. Li Chen covered himself in black flames, telling Xiaomo not to rejoice and to let him show his true power. The main character summoned the essence of black metal, the secret sword technique, and the secret technique of the mystical dragon. Xin Kusha needed time to deal with Xiaomo, but it seemed that Li Chen could indeed fight him. Tang Shuki noticed that Qin Kashi was distracted by Li Chen, so she decided it was a good time to attack. Li Chen continued to block Xiaomo's attacks, while he continued to fiercely attack him at close range. The main character unleashed his flaming demon sword technique, telling Xiaomo not to come any closer. No one was sure if Xiaomo could defend himself against the mythical high-level sword technique. Li Chen did not think that even a small part of the sword technique would be so powerful. High-level sword techniques would waste a lot of Gen Qi, and Xiaomo was sure that this fight wouldn't last long. As Xiaomo retreated, Li Chen moved closer to him and said that he would attack him again. With the golden swing of his sword, the master was sent crashing to the ground, creating a cloud of dust where he fell. Through this cloud, Xiaomo threw 3 kunai, but Li Chen dodged them, calling it a useless trick. The main character rushed forward again and struck Xiaomo with his sword once more, giving him no time to rest. Xiaomo asked Brother Yuan why he was watching the fight instead of helping him. Yuan decided to help after all. Rushing forward to attack with his katana, Li Chen decided to jump back from the new enemy. Qian Song and Qian Yu wanted to help, but the master stopped them, advising the boys not to move, because they were surrounded by all the enemies that Li Chen had previously defeated. The guy said that Li Chen had bitten off more than he could chew this time. Yuan Chen Chu, a disciple of the Yin Yi sect's Golden Core, despite also being at the 7th layer of the Earth Destruction Sphere, but he was stronger than Xiaomo. The main character created a shield surrounded by symbols when 2 masters attacked him at the same time. The young warrior did not understand how Li Chen was winning in a 2-on-1 battle. Li Chen's understanding of combat was too good. He was like a monster. He only targeted his opponent's weaknesses. Li Chen decided to go on the offensive, and the 3 clashed. But in the end, the protagonist's attack overpowered everyone. Xiaomo and Yuan Kenkyu were seriously injured, calling the main character a real monster. Li Chen, on the other hand, did not suffer any serious injuries, except for a small cut on his face, after which he said that his opponents were also doing well. Xiaomo was afraid that the top 30 places on the star list would undergo some major changes. Throwing himself into battle once again, Xiaomo did not want to accept this and lose to the main character. Li Chen shot a piece of metal at him, which pierced Xiaomo's chest and stopped his rush. As soon as Yuan Chen wanted to do something, the technique of the flaming demon sword was passed on to him. When Li Chen defeated the 2 masters, a certain sect member appeared and told him to stop. Looking at the sect member, the main character did not know who he was. He was surrounded by an aura that prevented people from approaching him. Tang Shiki noticed him and asked the Heavenly Sphere practitioner who he really was. The guy raised his eyes and introduced himself in a cold voice. The master's name was Xiang Lei. He was one of the organizers of the tea party, and Xiang Lei decided to declare the ceremony over, as he was not welcome here. First, the young master kicked the insolent Tang Shiki out of his tea party with a single blow. Xiaomo and Yuan Chenkyu also had to leave, even though they didn't have the strength, but they had to go. Xiang Lei turned to the main character and said that they could move on to the next tea ceremony event, and now, Li Chen could ask him any questions related to martial arts. Later, in Qingyang City, Li Fuchen overheard a conversation between nearby masters about Xiaohou Chuan of the Douling clan, who had passed the 5th Qi Wu test and was accepted as a disciple of the Qi Wu masters. The main character wondered if the Douling clan was probably related to Xiahou Shi from the secret kingdom of the Milky Way. The main character approached these masters and asked who the Qi Wu martial arts masters were. The guy said that the Qi Wu masters were 8 extremely powerful martial arts masters who lived in seclusion in the Qi Wu region, and they were among the top 20 on the continent. By becoming their disciples, they could make their lives in the world of martial arts easier, and it could even be said that they had found a powerful patron they could rely on, even though their power diminished as soon as they left the Qi Wu region. Once a disciple of Master Qi Wu was killed by a practitioner of the realm of rebirth, but the master came out and killed him with ease. It is said that the Qi Wu realm has a total of 8 gates and 8 tests, and the master will have a chance to become a disciple if he passes at least 1 gate. No more than 10 people have been able to pass through 5 gates, and only 3 people have passed through 6 gates. The main character decided that this realm was worth a visit, when suddenly someone outside called Chen Yuanhu to battle. The master got up, while Li Fuchen noticed that this guy was also from the Kangla sect. He was the one who was called the Insensitive Sword, the Tiger Sword, Senior Chen. The guy told He Lianbao that he had already lost to him last year, so why did he show up again, only to suffer another defeat? Soon, the two masters clashed, as He Lianbao had insisted on a duel for a long time. Li Fuchen watched this duel, noting that they were both at the 9th layer of the Earth Destruction Realm, and their powers were almost equal. He Lianbao summoned the Raging Dragon Slash, and Chen Yuanhu counterattacked with the Elemental Tiger Strike. The collision of such powerful attacks practically created a crater around the battlefield, filling everything with bright light in the process. But in the end, the blows dissipated, revealing that Chen Yuanhu was once again the victor. The main character noticed the senior's deadly move. It could have a huge impact if used unexpectedly. There were still 3 months left before the opening of the Qi Wu realm, and before that, Li Fuchen had to create his own deadly move. The seniors Xia, Han, and Su met by chance, and Li Fuchen was also nearby, wondering why he had to encounter them of all people. Senior Su asked the guard what was going on, because the opening of the gate to the Qi Wu region was in 3 days, and the guys were rushing somewhere. The warrior revealed that the Kangla sect and the disciples of the Yunxi sect were holding a sect competition. A disciple of the Kangla sect easily defeated a disciple of the Yunxi sect, thinking that this was the peak of their power. But suddenly, another disciple of the Yunxi sect entered the fight and defeated Kangla with a single blow. The Insensitive Sword and Chen Yuanhu arrived at the competition site, and the sword asked Lu Yun why he had only just arrived. The Kangla sect was at a disadvantage, facing the golden disciple of the sword sect, Yunxi, Lu Yun. Apart from the sword maniac, no one could compete with him. The unfeeling sword heard that Lu Yun had made it onto the list of stars and ranked 72nd, so he wanted to take him away. Lu Yun said that the masters were still weak, so he suggested that the tiger sword and the insensitive sword attack together. Chen Yuanhu rushed forward, but was immediately stopped by a small beam that hit him right in the head. While Lu Yun diverted his energy to the tiger sword, the second master decided to attack him from behind. Lu Yun just smiled, waving his blade, and the two masters took the devastating blow. The main character intended to enter the fight, revealing himself, but someone else appeared before him. This new master immediately rushed into the fight, clashing swords with Lu Yun, who found it difficult to block his attacks. Lu Yun jumped back, glad that this master had finally shown up, for it was none other than the sword maniac Li Xiangru. Looking at the insensitive sword and Chen Yuanhu, the sword maniac considered them a disgrace to the sect. Lu Yun reminded Li Xiangru that a year ago he had lost to him after 3 moves, and it was unlikely that he would win today. The sword maniac did not listen to him, continuing his attack with a devastating move of 100 attacking swords. Lu Yun counterattacked with a devastating dog cut move, using his second killing move. Li Xiangru used a 10-sword attack, piercing the spirit dog with his blades. Li Fuchen believed that their strengths were equal, and they would have to go through several hundred rounds to determine the winner. Another master appeared on the battlefield. A sect member from Tianlong, the sword dragon, Qi Yue, arrived. On the Dongli continent, there are 13 formidable young people, the strongest of their age. They are divided into 6 young masters, 4 fairies, and 3 star kings, Qi Yue being one of them. One of the fairies was Su Mu Yu from Changchun Valley. Her nickname was Fairy Mu Yu. The second fairy familiar to Li Fuchen was Yan Qing Wu from the Tiansha sect, nicknamed Fairy Qing Wu. The 3 star kings not only possessed their amazing titles, but were also ranked at the top of the list of stars. Su Mu Yu approached the main character and greeted him, immediately revealing his camouflage. The sword maniac and Lu Yun fought for a long time, with more than 1,000 moves used on the battlefield. Soon, Lu Yun's movement slowed down, and the sword maniac took advantage of this opportunity to pierce his shoulder. Tianlong, Gong Sun Yi, who was ranked 48th on the star list, asked Li Xiangru if he could block his sword. The master confidently swung his blade, and Li Xiangru managed to raise his defense and supplement it with 10 spiritual swords. Gong Sun Yi praised him, saying that it was not enough to block the second strike. Su Mu Yu added that the Kangla sect looked good because it had Li Fuchen and the sword maniac. The main character said that the elder Li Xiangru was a legendary figure throughout the sect. The girl's expression changed, She believed that Li Fu-chen had already surpassed the legend. 3 days later, the day finally arrived when the masters gathered in the Chi-Wu Hall. At the last moment, the main character took off his disguise, revealing that he was Li Fu-chen. The young master bowed and greeted the insensitive sword and Chen Yuan-hu. One of the sect members turned around and ordered his subjects to immediately inform the Tiansha sect of Li Fu-chen's appearance. The spirit appeared at the gate, saying that the secret area of Chi-Wu would now be opened. The disciples were allowed to enter and try to pass the test. The masters of Chi-Wu watched the students who entered. There were quite a few students, and each of the teachers wanted to find talent. The first test was apparently one of agility. In front of the disciples was a swamp with no end in sight. The main character was confident in his abilities. He soared into the air like a feather and rushed forward. Many students drowned in the swamp, and the teacher called them useless because they could not even control their genqi. Such masters should not even hope to pass the secret area of Chi-Wu. Li Fu-chen did not strain at all to pass the first level, and his smile grew even wider. Chi-Yu also passed the first level, but he was surprised that the main character was ahead of him. The sword dragon rushed forward to overtake Li Fu-chen, making the young master believe that Chi-Yu was worthy of being one of the 6 young masters. On the second level, the masters faced a new problem, a stone gate that could not be opened simply by applying force. Giving it their all, the sword dragon and Li Fu-chen managed to pass, but even the main character admitted that it was difficult. Li Fu-chen noticed that the sword dragon's cultivation level was significantly better, but slower. It seemed that the exam technique was adjusted according to the cultivation level. The female teacher said that many good students had caught her eye, and at least 4 people would be able to pass through the 4th gate of Chi-Wu. The next test was a strength test, where the master was surrounded by burning stones that he had to extinguish. Li Fu-chen shot a small part of his power, but it was not enough to extinguish the fire. To pass the test, the main character took out his sword and summoned a more powerful attack. That wasn't enough either, so Li Fu-chen decided to use the soaring dragon sword style. This attack broke through the wall, revealing a door to the next level, but Li Fu-chen hesitated to go through it. Focusing on his next attack, the main character decided to create a more powerful attack. Li Fu-chen displayed such explosive power that the huge dragon practically destroyed the entire level. One of the teachers couldn't believe such explosive power at the dragon level and wanted to take Li Fu-chen as his student. The blue-haired teacher told Lao Lu that he was only good at strength, and he was afraid that the man would only teach him heavenly cruelty. The second brother thought Li Fu-chen was glorious, and the girl next to him immediately asked if he had an idea. The old man revealed that he believed Li Fu-chen would pass through the 5th gate of Chi-Wu, something no master had ever done before. The 4th gate was a test of awareness, and the 5th gate turned out to be a test of understanding. Li Fu-chen demonstrated enormous potential at each level, causing the teachers to watch him even more closely. Lao Liu wanted to exchange his student for the second brother's student. The old man immediately refused, because he couldn't stand Lao Liu's students. The man on the throne asked the teachers not to argue, as he would accept Li Fu-chen as his disciple. The second brother was surprised that his older brother also wanted to take the main character as his student. The man added that he only chose students who would become the greatest in the future, and only Li Fu-chen was capable of becoming his special student. The secret test of Chi-Wu was still ongoing, and Han Feng and Li Xiangru stopped at the 5th exam of the Chi-Wu gates. Chi-Yu, Sumu-Yu, and Xiao Ho-shi passed through the 5th gate to the 6th, considering these levels to be so easy. The 6th gate, an unyielding test of determination, was very quick, and Jia Hu-shi and Sumu Yu were eliminated. Only Li Fu-chen and Chi Yu remained, continuing to fight against the sharp and fierce blades of wind. The main character unleashed his energy and managed to break through to the heavenly sphere cultivation stage right during the test. Chi Yu was struck by the blades of wind, and the master could not believe that Li Fu-chen had surpassed him once again. Outside the sect, Chi Yu was supposed to be the first of the 4 to pass through the 6th gate of Chi-Wu. Sumu Yu understood that Chi Yu deserved to be called the son of the dragon sword, for he had reached the 6th gate. Suddenly, the dragon sword realized that Li Fu-chen had not yet returned from the Chi-Wu gate. The attack of the blades subsided, and only the main character remained on the test. His body turned to stone. It was a conscious technique. The protagonist managed to concentrate his power and destroy the stone shell. Li Fu-chen had attained the level of martial arts reincarnation, but unfortunately, he still could not cultivate at this time. The protagonist continued to move forward, and before him were the 7th gates, which no one had ever seen from the inside. Li Fu-chen found himself at the heavenly level, surrounded by nothing but an endless golden void. Suddenly, a laser shot towards Li Fu-chen. The guy didn't understand what had happened, but he decided to block it with his hand. The main character was thrown out of the heavenly level by the laser, returning him to the earthly level of the gate. A symbol of the earth line appeared on his hand. The hero saw this mark for the first time and did not understand its meaning. The teachers were disappointed that the main character was unable to pass through the gates of heaven due to the unexpected turn of events. Although he did not pass through those gates, Li Fu-chen was still the first person to pass through the gates of the earth. A golden ray struck from the heavens, and the main character finally returned to the outside world after the trial. Chi Yu believed that Li Fu-chen was slower than him and ultimately no match for him. Xia Huzi noticed the protagonist, considering him to be the prey he was looking for. Only 6 people were able to qualify to become disciples of the masters of Chi-Wu. The 8th elder chose Han Feng, and the 6th elder chose Xiaohuxi. The 5th elder, a woman named Qi Mei, chose Li Xiangru. There were still 3 disciples left to choose from. The 3rd elder, a strange high-ranking man, chose Su Mu Yu, leaving 2 disciples. The 2nd brother came out first, telling Qi Yu that he was hardly worthy of being his disciple. The 1st elder stated that he already had a special disciple, asking Li Fuchen if he agreed to this position. Qi Yu was not satisfied with this result. The 1st elder replied that Li Fuchen was the first person to enter the gates of the earth. Su Mu Yu eagerly awaited the Starless competition, which was to take place the following year. The insensitive sword was surprised that even though the main character was a 1-star bone skeleton, he had overwhelming power. At the gate, the Tianxia sect was waiting to immediately capture Li Fuchen. The twin brothers revealed the truth to the elders, saying that Qi Yu had been accepted as a special disciple by the 2nd elder, and that the one named Li Fuchen had been accepted as a special disciple by the 1st elder. He was the first person to pass through the gates of the earth. The elders decided not to take any chances, and to report everything to the sect leader first. The 1st elder introduced Li Fuchen, the new special disciple, to his followers. The main character did not notice any goodwill in his new brothers, believing that someone would challenge him in the future. The man told the main character that he was very lucky that sword art was also his main martial art. The 1st elder wanted to know what sword art meant to him, and Li Fuchen replied that killing people with a sword was what sword art meant, and if he didn't have a blade in his hands, the main character decided to make himself a sword. The 1st elder said that Li Fuchen was in line with the principles of his sword, that a sword is not always a sword, and that anything in the world could be a blade. Picking up the nearest object, the man said that even an ordinary branch could be a weapon. With just an ordinary branch, the 1st elder managed to create such a powerful lunge that it destroyed the tree in front of them. The 1st elder had already mastered the basics of the earth-level sword style, so he could do anything with a sword. The main character moved on to training, holding a branch in his hands, and he had to strike the mountain with it. The master used a tree branch to perform a deadly mystical level move. Apparently, the main character would need much more time than he had expected to master this. The 2nd brother was training Qi Yu at the time, noticing that he was progressing quickly. He was a tyrannical sword, and Qi Yu was an imperial sword. They had something in common. If you have the heart of an imperial sword, when a master wields a sword, the power will change effectively. The dragon sword rejoiced at these words, shouting that his sword was superior to everything else in the world. The 3rd elder was delighted with Su Mu Yu's talent, confident that she would progress better than anyone else. Li Fuchen finally made his first progress. The branch in his hands managed to create a stronger attack. The 1st elder watched him. Li Fuchen's ability to understand was terrifying. He managed to make a second deadly move in just a month. The main character managed to create a sphere that absorbed everything around him. Li Fuchen decided to call this second deadly move the sword explosion. The elder appeared and said that the student was better than he had thought. The young master's next task was to create a semi-level of the killing move of the killing realm. The main character was surprised. It was similar to the sword style of the supreme mysterious realm. But even with such a high bar, Li Fuchen still agreed to take the test. Since he was strong, Li Fuchen decided to try it with a spinning sword. Before the master continued his training, another disciple appeared and said that Sheng had invited him to visit. Sheng was delighted that the main character had come, and he invited him to sit down and have tea with him first. Li Fuchen asked him not to waste his breath and asked who wanted to challenge him. The bald student appeared from behind, asking Li Fuchen for permission to show him something. The arena that appeared under the hero was an energy limiter. Sheng said that they would limit it at a practical level. The master immediately decided to attack him, using the airblade technique while the limiter was active. Li Fuchen defended himself with a barrier, while the master continued to use the deadly wind. The young master decided to attack in response, using the Biju sword technique, throwing the enemy back with the aura of the technique. Sheng also decided to test the main character, hoping that he would not find the time to use the deadly move. The main character did not even turn to face his opponent, but simply blocked him with his blade from behind. To everyone's surprise, Sheng's brother decided to retreat. Sheng became angry and rushed forward again, this time using a deadly move. As the young enemy and his illusions rushed forward, one swing of Li Fuchen's sword destroyed the illusions and Sheng's sword. The boy couldn't believe he had lost to a student who hadn't even used a deadly move. The elder noticed this skirmish and called the disciples a bunch of fools. Now, no one would bother the main character anymore. 3 months later, Qi Wu reopened its doors, and by this time, news of Li Fuchen had spread throughout the country. Yan Qing was amazed by Li Fuchen's achievements. This time, she came to take the Qi Wu exam, just like the other geniuses. But, like Su Mu Yu, she stopped at the 6th gate and was chosen by the 3rd elder. During this time, Li Fuchen broke through the 6th layer of the Earth Destruction Realm, and his martial arts reached the 16th level. Importantly, most of the elders in the Kangla sect are also at the 16th level of martial arts, and Li Fuchen was still progressing quite rapidly. Li Fuchen reached new heights, and thanks to his rapid growth, he managed to achieve the goal set by the elder. The elder praised the main character, saying that he was doing very well, so much so that the master had underestimated him. Li Fuchen had enough talent to surpass everyone, but he still lacked defensive techniques. The 1st elder took Li Fuchen's hand and covered it with purple fire, which burned his hand, but did not harm him. This mark was on par with Earth-level martial arts, and when Li Chen channeled his energy into it, he would be able to use these martial arts. The elder asked him not to worry about it. Although its use was limited, he would be able to use it to protect himself when his teacher was not around. The gates of Qi Wu opened, and the geniuses of the Kangla sect, Li Chen and Li Xiangru, became disciples of the Qi Wu masters and were about to leave. The patriarch noticed his disciples, whom he was so proud of, and they made him smile. Li Tian appeared there, angrily addressing Li Chen. He covered his hand with flames. The patriarch asked Li Tian if he really wanted to fight, but their dialogue was interrupted by the spirit of Master Qi Wu, who silenced the man. Li Tian said that the masters of Qi Wu could only save Li Chen now, but they could not be his guardians forever. Upon returning to the sect, the patriarch said that the 4 masters before him were the most outstanding inner disciples of the Kangla sect. In about a month, there would be a competition to enter the star list, and she still hoped that they would all participate. In addition, the top 2 on the star list would be awarded a star stone. The elder of the Kangla sect told Li Chen that from now on, he was no longer a nameless martial arts master. The girl called the main character a monster. She had only broken through the Earth Destruction realm, reaching the 2nd layer, while he was already in the 6th. The elder invited Li Chen to join them for dinner, to which he agreed. The elder of the Liao family, Liao Hailong, drank tea and remarked that he had indeed grown old. Hailong asked that an order be issued that from now on, anyone who offended Li Chen would be expelled from the Liao family. Gao's older brother was delighted that Li Chen was now like a celebrity across the entire continent. Thanks to the geniuses, the girl could finally see her true self, so that she and Gao could be together. Guan couldn't believe the rumors and began to cry, hoping that she wouldn't regret breaking off her engagement to Li Chen. At that time, everyone in the Kangla sect was talking about Li Chen, who had finally become successful. That night, Zhao Wujin wanted to bring Zhao Mingyue and Li Chen together, but Li Chen focused his attention on reading about martial arts all night long and didn't have time to worry about his personal life. Thanks to Li Chen's performance, the Li family moved to the Kangla sect and became one of the sect's families. A month later, the events moved to the Kangla sect's arena, where 4 legends of the Kangla sect entered. The patriarch spoke with Zhao Wujin, who revealed that Li Chen had an ordinary 1-star bone skeleton, and that it was a miracle that he was able to achieve such feats. The elder said that his cultivation was a little low, but he hoped that this selective competition would go smoothly. Yue Tian and Bajian Liu Huhuang were behind Li Chen. The masters did not want to live forever in Li Chen's shadow, setting themselves the goal of entering the top 4. The competition began, and after winning the first round, Li Chen was matched with Yue Tian in the next match. The main character wanted to know how strong Wen Tian had become, while the master, in turn, thought he had already caught up with Li Chen. But the outcome of the battle was obvious. The main character delivered dozens of blows in a fraction of a second, defeating Wen Tian. After Yue Tian was defeated, Bajian Liu Huhuang was also defeated by Li Chen with a single blow. The main character was unrivaled in the competition, using the high-level Xuan sword technique with such intent that even martial arts masters of the heavenly realm would find it difficult to learn, and also defeating several brothers who were already at the peak of the Earth Destruction realm, including Jian Hu's brother. He also defeated many senior brothers, including the Tiger Sword. Finally, the Sword Demon, Li Chen, was forced to face the sword maniac, Li Xiangru. The sword maniac said that no one could make him use his full power, and only Li Chen remained. The main character said that the elder brother Li had overestimated him, asking him for some advice first. Li Xiangru used a new technique that resembled green flashes of lightning. The patriarch and Zhao Wujin were amazed by the high-level Xuan sword technique. The sword maniac is loyal to the sword. He is crazy about the sword. The main character launched a counterattack, and the demonic mask of fire counterattacked, blocking the maniac's skill. With such strong sword intent, Li Xiangru finally realized why the first master Qi Wu chose him as his special disciple. The battle continued, each burst of power creating such a large wave that the spectators could barely see what was happening in the arena. But soon the fight was over, and Li Chen emerged victorious over the legendary sword maniac. The sect members couldn't believe that Brother Li had become the strongest disciple at the age of 20, something that had never happened before. Like the Kangla sect, the other 3 major sects also decided to select and send their 4 disciples. Yan Qingwu was similar to Li Chen. They became the youngest core disciples of their sects. The main character wondered if he would be able to pass a few more levels on the star path. Li Chen walked along the path, which became so difficult that the main character was drenched in sweat with every step. Reaching the end of the level, the main character couldn't take it anymore and fell on the white pass. Li Chen began to rise. Rays of power covered him, making the young master even stronger. With 64% of the energy of the star path, Li Chen finally managed to break through. Taking a comfortable position on the mountain of the secret kingdom, the main character unleashed his power, making a breakthrough. The man asked Qinwu how her impetuous swallow flight, the 4-star secret technique he had taught her, had gone. The girl told her father that she had already mastered this task. Her father replied that becoming one of the top 36 disciples this time would not be a problem. Sumu Yu also trained in Jiangchun Valley, practicing with huge stones. The girl finally did it. She had already mastered the secret 6-star technique, which the girl had obtained from the tomb, up to the 4th star. All the experts from each sect tried their best to improve. In the end, Li Fu Chen did not reach the secret realm of the Star Path. He returned to the Kang La sect and began to meditate on the intention of the sword. Also, to meditate on his sword essence technique, he transformed from the black iron sword essence technique to the 5-star secret technique, the bronze sword essence technique. The night before the competition, the disciples stood before the patriarch. The man was delighted that Li Fu Chen had reached the 7th layer of the Earth Destruction realm, while the others were at the 8th layer. The patriarch held out his hand, asking his disciples to take a gift from him for success in the competition. Li Fu Chen was surprised that he had received a high-level Xuan sword, a very expensive artifact. The patriarch told his disciples that they should prepare for a trip in the near future, after which he asked Li Fu Chen to come to him. He asked about the 4-star secret technique of pure Yang Qi that he had given him after the qualifying competition. The main character revealed his progress, saying that he had already mastered the technique he had received from the patriarch. The man immediately wanted to see it, which Li Fu Chen did, surprising the patriarch so much that he was speechless. It took the patriarch 3 years to master it, but this child didn't even need a month. Finally, the time for the competition had come. The patriarch came out, leading Li Fu Chen behind him, saying that they were entering the competition. The first elder told the patriarch that Li Fu Chen was indeed a martial arts maniac. The man said that meditation usually requires absolute silence, but he can really do it in these conditions, which is not something normal people can do. After some time, the warriors finally arrived at Mount Xingyun, in front of which was a barrier blocking the mountain. The patriarch said that the starless competition was divided into 2 stages, the preliminary round and the actual tournament. There are 108 stone pillars at the top of the mountain. The first selection is to climb the mountain to complete endurance and light work. There are 2 paths on the mountainside, one steep and dangerous, the other calm, but the road is long. When climbing, warriors must be careful not to be attacked. Upon reaching the top of the mountain, the sect members must seize one of the 108 stone pillars by force. The sect members praised Li Fu Chen, who was accepted as a disciple by the first master. This was something that even the 3 kings could not do. Wang Xing Qiheng passed by them, and the sect members thought that no one could overcome his defense. Li Fu Chen was surprised, for his secret runes were engraved inside his sword, but his runes were engraved on his body. Next to Su Mu Yu was one of the 6 sons, Teng Qingyun. The girl told him about Li Fu Chen, who did not look like she had described him. Qi Yue also came to the competition, and next to him was the first Thunder King on the list of stars. The barrier began to smolder, signaling the start of the competition, and the sectarians nearby began to hesitate, while Li Fu Chen pondered his plan of action. On the way to Mount Xingyun was Jiang Ru Liu, and next to her was the tea ceremony host, Qi Wu. The main character managed to catch up with the 2 amazing masters, and gradually began to overtake them. Soon, Li Fu Chen managed to climb the mountain, rejoicing that he had finally reached its peak. But as soon as he appeared at the top, he noticed that another master had appeared behind him. The main character impressed the disciple with his gravity, telling him that he was just a frog, living at the bottom of a well. Li Fu Chen took one of the pillars, saying that he was going to give it his all. Qi Yu could stand on it, but it would be quite difficult for him to keep his place among the attackers. In such a short period of time, almost all of the 108 pillars were already occupied. Li Xiangru competed for a stone pillar, but Chen Yuanhu and Shui Feng couldn't even get close to him. After defeating the insensitive sword, many masters tried to take the pillar from the same warrior, but all attempts were in vain. This master was recognized as the 44th on the list of stars, Wang Xin, whose title fully justified his strength. Another sect member appeared behind the 2 masters, defeating Du Lin Shi and Ji Xiao with a single swing. The elder noticed that Li Fu Chen and Lu Xiangru were holding on to the stone heavenly pillar. The patriarch added that Chen Yuanhu and Shui Feng were still inferior in strength, and whether they could rise or not depended on their luck. Soon after, the situation began to heat up, and Li Fu Chen became the target of a dozen masters. The main character enveloped himself in a shield of blade swings, easily defending himself from the sectarians' attack. Ranked 48th on the list of stars with incredible defense, the warrior decided to attack Li Fu Chen. Many were sure that the main character would not be able to defeat him, but a single shot pierced his body. The battle for the stone pillars became increasingly fierce. Yan Guan Wu and Su Mu Yu also had rivals, but they repelled them all. Li Xingru was in a difficult position, but he regained his pillar and continued to hold his own. Li Fu Chen's stone pillar was deserted, but no one dared to challenge him. Finally, the battles for the pillars ended, as the masters who were able to hold them waited for their well-deserved rewards. But the golden shields quickly lowered, causing Li Fu Chen to wonder what was going on. In fact, those who were able to hold their pillars had to fight each other. The power of the loser would be given to the winner of the duel, moving him even higher up the pillar. The game was in full swing, and Li Xiangru was not fighting an easy opponent. After several hundred moves, Li Xiangru emerged victorious. Yan Qingwu fought an opponent who held up a barrier, claiming that the girl could not hurt him. But her soul spirit technique, the impetuous flight of a swallow, managed to reach her opponent, knocking him off his feet. The master was frightened and said that Yan Qingwu was faster than him, and she was able to break his defense, so he admitted defeat. Shi Yu stepped into the arena, telling his opponent that he would give him one last chance to escape. But the dragon swords did not listen, and the result of the duel was justified. Qi Yue won. The next battle was a duel between Xiaohu Hai, ranked 39th on the star list, and the sword demon, Li Fu Chen. When Xiaohu Hai tried to attack the main character, His attack was shattered by the sword demon's golden barrier. Li Fuchen counterattacked with a burgundy snake, piercing Xiahou Hai's chest and determining the winner with just one strike. The competition continued with 6 princes, 4 fairies, and 3 stars, who showed their incredible strength with a series of victories. Li Fuchen's next fight was a duel with Yan Qingwu, who promised to kill him during their second encounter, but the young master's power had already reached incredible heights, and Yan Qingwu was nowhere near as strong. The patriarch of the Tiansha sect gritted his teeth, overflowing with anger, for Li Fuchen constantly ruined his plans. The elder believed that a minor success or defeat like this did not mean that the next time would be Qin Wu's turn. After defeating Yan Qingwu, Li Fuchen fought more bravely and won the next 14 competitions. In addition, more than 20 people maintained their winning streak. In the 799th contest, Li Fuchen came face to face with Xiahou Shi. The young man rushed forward, saying that once you get the prize, it's yours forever. He covered his hand with the Zhuan level striking technique, the Dragon Strike. The main character used the secret technique of pure Yang Qi and instantly cut Xiahou Shi's body in 2. Sumu Yu did not understand how it was possible that Li Fuchen and his sword had defeated Xiahou Shi. The girl thought that the main character had obtained this technique from an ancient tomb, but that could not be true, as it should have been stronger. As the competition became more intense, Li Fuchen won 20 consecutive matches. Sumu Yu quickly became a member of Mu Rongdi, one of the 6 sons. As the subsequent fights progressed, Li Fuchen's spirit turned into a yellow snake instead of a red one. Sumu Yu fought the master and blocked his attacks with her fan, surprising the sect members with her speed. Although the girl lost, she still had a chance to enter the top 20 students. The 1,400th match was between Li Fuchen and Chen Feng. Chen Feng had ranked 17th last year, and this opponent could indeed defeat the main character. Chen Feng covered his blade with burgundy fire, shooting forward with a wave of his spiritual power. The main character used the way of the sword. His blade increased in size and absorbed Chen Feng's attack in its path. Once again, Li Fuchen won with a single move, adding to his series of victories. Xia Haochan delivered only one blow to defeat Chen Feng. He used only one blow, even though Li Fuchen had to use the art of the sword. The competition was still ongoing, with Xia Haochuan's fighting spirit battling Luo Feiyun's flying sword, but losing due to the gap in speed. Soon, it was the protagonist's turn again. In his upcoming duel, he would finally meet the heavenly star, Mu Rongdi. Mu Rongdi declared that defeating 30 people was not difficult at all, but his winning streak was coming to an end. He did not want to use his full strength, so he suggested that Li Fuchen surrender. Mu Rongdi did not want to be underestimated, so he decided to use a 4-star secret technique to show the power of one of the 6 princes. The secret technique clashed with Li Fuchen, who tried to defend himself with red jade. Mu Rongdi had to jump back, realizing that Li Fuchen had mastered the art of the Xuan sword. Sumu Yu also noticed this and could hardly believe it. Li Fuchen had become much stronger since their last meeting. Mu Rong thought that Li Fuchen had no more new techniques, but when he saw the fiery dragon, the master had no choice but to put all his strength into the barrier. But even the barrier couldn't help Mu Rongdi, and the dragon was about to eat him, forcing him to lose. Mu Rongdi did not want to accept his defeat, so he unleashed 4 secret blood sunsets. But since the master had no strength left, Li Fuchen immediately attacked again and defeated Mu Rongdi. Li Fuchen became unstoppable, reaching 39 victories. Li Fuchen now fought against Xia Haochuan. Xia Haochuan used a minimal number of movements to defeat others, just like Li Fuchen, who held back. The main character easily destroyed Xia Haochuan's technique, managing to find his weakness in a split second. Li Fuchen's style was too elusive. Even Xia Haochuan couldn't withstand the onslaught of his attacks. The elder and patriarch were surprised that Li Fuchen had truly perfected the ancestral martial art. Sword techniques, instincts, footwork, key enhancement methods, secret techniques, and even body purification methods. All of these are powerful techniques. Li Fuchen has no weaknesses. He is a monster. Li Fuchen won 45 games in a row, and in his battle with Lu Yunfei, he managed to dodge all of his flying swords. No one could compete with Li Fuchen's winning streak, no matter what status or rank the enemy had. Li Fuchen's next enemy covered the arena with ice. She had the 7th layer of the heavenly sphere, as expected of the Snow Wind Fairy Shulin. The Snow Wind Fairy entered the arena, saying that Li Fuchen would not be able to run away. The snow palm of the wind and the blazing flames of the main character collided, covering the arena with 2 elements. Shulin jumped back, unable to believe that Li Fuchen was on the same level as her. Creating an icy veil, Shulin rushed forward, thanks to the snow killer's trick. The protagonist counterattacked with a fiery dragon, and the audience marveled at the dazzling brilliance of the ice and the size of the dragon. The second clash covered the arena with a thick wave of smoke, causing the audience to ask each other who had won. Shulin rushed forward, telling Li Fuchen to try to defeat her. Now her aura seemed different. Shulin broke through, which helped the girl get above Li Fuchen and throw him back. The patriarch of the Snow Wind sect rejoiced. Shulin was half a step away from breaking through to the heavenly realm. Li Fuchen would be defeated. Patriarch Kang La was disappointed, for Li Fuchen's flame technique had even helped the Snow Wind Fairy break through her cultivation layer. Shulin adapted to the protagonist's techniques, turning the Snow Wind Dragon into ice. Li Fuchen only noticed the dragon, and he immediately hit it, freezing the young master. But Shulin's belief in her victory faded as soon as the protagonist burned all the ice around him. The patriarch noticed that Li Fu-chen was indeed half a step away from breaking through to the 7th layer of the Earth Destruction Realm. The Ice Queen and her elegant dragons clashed with Li Fu-chen's majestic fire dragons. During the Battle of the Dragons, the main character disappeared in the fog of war, reappearing behind Shu Lin. With happiness on his face, Li Fu-chen struck the Ice Empress, winning another duel. After Shu Lin was defeated by Li Fu-chen, she faced Teng Qingyun, the leader of the 6 young masters, and was defeated by the other side, using top-level martial arts. Teng Qingyun thought Li Fu-chen would be an easy opponent. Li Fu-chen defeated him as if it were nothing. Like Li Fu-chen, who won 80 times in a row, Zhang Ruoli and Qi Yu did the same. Qi Yu knew that many people said he was no match for Li Fu-chen as an opponent, but he did not consider himself a minor character. The dragon sword thrust its blade forward, showing its power. There are no dragons that true dragons do not lead. His enemy protected himself with purple ki, enveloping his body with divine needles, forming a prison shield. But the dragon's jaws closed so tightly that the needles broke in two, and the dragon broke through. Although purple ki, divine needles are on the same level as the highest martial arts, the difference in power is enormous. Qi Yu continued to use his top-level Xuan sword technique, Soaring Heavenly Dragon. Qi Yu managed to win 82 times in a row, but in the 83rd battle, he met a strong opponent. His enemy turned out to be the king of the Golden Whip, Jin Shudong, waiting for Qi Yu's first move. Jin Shudong swung his whip, and Qi Yu threw another dragon, clashing with the attacks. The main character understood that Qi Yu was worthy of the art of the Heavenly Dragon Sword, but fortunately for Jin Shudong, Qi Yu had not yet achieved perfection. Otherwise, Jin Shudong would not have been able to stop several blows. Soon, Jin Shudong was on the verge of defeat, while Qi Yu continued his assault with long-range attacks. He managed to wound him, and Qi Yu's attack was able to strike him down in a quick flash of power. Qi Yu fought against Zhang Ruoli, who used illusory martial arts. Qi Yu was temporarily restrained by illusions, but since there was a big difference in strength, Qi Yu still won. Jin Shudong fought against Li Fu-chen, advising him to admit defeat, as his strength was only slightly greater than that of Teng Qingyun. The main character decided to try out a new technique in this duel, as he did not take his enemy seriously. The Golden Whip could not break through Li Fu-chen's blows, and the sword swings were so powerful that Jin Shudong had to retreat every time. Qi Yue was disappointed that even the Star King of the Golden Whip, Shudong, could not defeat Li Fu-chen. The Patriarch and the Elder noticed a special secret technique that could be superimposed on other secret techniques. Jin Shudong accelerated the arena in his favor, weakening Li Fu-chen, causing the master to rush forward. As Jin Shudong began to fight seriously, the main character covered his body with a demon aura and thus defeated the Whip King. The tournament became more intriguing, with only the Thunder King Situ Lei and the Star King Qin Heng maintaining their winning streaks, as well as the Dragon Sword, Qi Yue, and Li Fu-chen. Zhang Ruolu's Dance of the Heavens was truly powerful, and he fought against the Dragon Swordsman Qi Yu, who also had a close victory. Li Fu-chen had a difficult start, but he created a red splash that killed the illusions around him. The Three Palaces. The Palace of the Lord? The girl understood that Li Fu-chen could become an enemy of the Three Palaces in the future. The battles continued, and the Thunder King, Situ Lei, defeated the Snow Fairy, Shu Lin, with a powerful attack. In addition, the strong defense of the Star King Qi Heng helped him overcome the remaining competitions. Together with the Dragon Swordsman, Qi Yue, and Li Fu-chen, these four were almost invincible. Finally, the main character and the Dragon Sword clashed. Their souls turned into powerful dragons. Qi Yu attacked first, using the art of the Dragon Sword. This sword art is stronger than the one he used to strike Jin Shudun. Qi Yu not only had a 6-star bone skeleton, but also had a sword vein that could increase the destructive power of the sword's Dao. The master of the Heavenly Dragon Sect declared that Qi Yu was a rare genius who could only be found once in 1,000 years. Li Fu-chen had no chance of getting out of there alive. The main character began to smile, his sword covered with a red aura, and his other hand with golden power. Qi Heng watched the battle, believing that neither of them could break through his defense. Li Fu-chen was the first to push Qi Yu to his limit, forcing him to use the Great Dragon Ao Lin. The main character hoped that his enemy could put in more effort, easily repelling his attacks. Qi Yu's sword needed a lot of time to recover. Now that he had used 30% of the sword vein's power, Qi Yu would not be able to hold out against him for long. The answer was not long in coming. Li Fu-chen grinned and cut through his body with a lunge. To redeem his loss, Qi Yu intended to defeat Qi Heng, but the Master of Armor was confident in his victory. Qi Heng swung his sword and sent a wave of his power across the arena, but Qi Yu dodged and rushed forward. Finding himself behind the slow-moving Qi Heng, the Dragon Sword managed to strike him, but the Master's armor was amazing. Qi Yu's attack was useless. Qi Heng counterattacked, and the Dragon Master dodged again. Qi Heng attacked again, knocking away the Dragon Blade with a long-range sword attack. Qi Heng used his ultimate technique, merging with his sword to increase his power. The Dragon Blade's lightning-fast thrust instantly cut through Qi Heng's weapon and his body. Qi Yu believed that if he had known that Li Fu-chen would defeat him, he would have used the fusion earlier. At this point in the tournament, the battle for the top 3 places was mainly between Qi Yu and Qi Heng, Situ Lei, and Li Fu-chen. The main character found himself in a duel again, fighting against Qi Heng, without fighting him seriously. Shi Heng was surprised that Li Fu Chen still had other tricks up his sleeve, but this time, the power of the attack was stronger than when he fought Qi Yu Ye. The protagonist allowed himself to yawn during the fight, asking Shi Heng if he really hoped to defeat him with such cheap tricks. Shi Heng believed that Li Fu Chen had weakened his defense and immediately struck, but it was an illusion. The main character attacked from behind, just as Shi Heng realized he had struck an illusion. Qi Heng had reliable defense, but he was still defeated by the strongest man on the star list, Su Tu Lei. Qi Yu used his heavenly sword technique, but because he used all his sword vein power, he lost to Sito Lei. The decisive battle between Su Tu Lei and Li Fu Chen will determine the first and second positions. Qi Yu took 3rd place, Qi Heng took 4th, Ruo Jiangli took 5th, and Jin Shudong took 6th. Teng Qingyan took 7th place, Shulin took 8th, Su Muyu took 15th, and Yan Qing took the lowest rank. Su Tu Lei, the Thunder King, fought the main character, telling Li Fu Chen to start the duel. A heavenly discharge and the shadow of a deadly flame. 2 great heavenly demons collided. A dozen thundershots filled the arena, and Li Fu Chen acknowledged that he was worthy of being the #1 martial arts expert of the Thunder Sect. The Thunder Demon attacked. Li Fu Chen used the 5-star technique of the Bronze Sword Essence and stopped the attack. The power of the protagonist's blade increased, and the Thunder King did not understand how many more trump cards Li Fu Chen had. The Heavenly Lightning Strike that splits the world, was used by Si Tu Lei in a new attack. The main character responded with the art of the dragon sword of the Guan level, along with the aura of the sword. The lightning touched the dragon, and with each passing second, the lightning became weaker as the dragon absorbed it. In the next moment, the burgundy dragon completely destroyed the lightning and defeated the king of electricity. The masters were proud of Li Fu Chen. He was worthy of being the disciple of the first martial arts master Qi Wu. He even inherited his secret technique. The main character managed to defeat everyone in his path and took 1st place in the competition. Li Fu Chen said that if anyone wanted another fight with him, he would accept it at any time. The top 6 on the star list received the Qi of the Heavenly Sphere. Li Fu Chen noticed a powerful force raging within his body. Su Tu Lei watched Li Fu Chen and noticed that his true dragon seemed different. Inside the Star Mountain, the statue noticed that Li Fu Chen had the perfect form of the true dragon seal, which had finally appeared. The Snowmaster congratulated Patriarch Wu Yang, saying that the Kangla sect had produced a great disciple. Su Tu Lei cultivated thanks to the new energy, which allowed him to make a breakthrough. The Patriarch noted that his growth was too frightening, breaking through various realms so easily. The main character said that with such pressure, he would soon be able to break through to the heavenly realm. After returning to the Kangla sect, Li Fu Chen was rewarded with 5-star level beast skin armor. He was also allowed to enter the sword monument without any restrictions. Wu Yan promised Li Fu Chen a reward when he reached the heavenly realm. In addition, Li Fu Chen began practicing the Xuan level technique, the burning heavenly sword. The original high-level sword technique was very difficult to cultivate, but the main character still progressed rapidly. He discovered that his own soul, blue from the golden talisman, increased his insight. Li Fu Chen cultivated. He was covered in sweat, but fortunately, he had the fiery ice flower with him. The 18th layer of the burning heavens was truly powerful. Perhaps it was time to go to the secret realm of Qi Wu and meet the master. Li Fu Chen was curious how fast he was compared to the giant bird. After applying his skills, it turned out that Li Fu Chen was even faster than the guiding beast. In the secret realm of Qi Wu, the first elder said that he was proud of the protagonist's progress. He also added that in a month, his master and others would leave the secret realm of Qi Wu, as well as the eastern continent of Lin. Unfortunately, due to the rules of the secret kingdom of Qi Wu, he could not give him material things, nor could he directly pass on martial arts or secret techniques to him. The protagonist said that the engraved earth-level combat mark on his palm already contained the mark of the air. Every time he lit the mark, a sense of true meaning would appear. As long as he had enough understanding, it was not impossible to understand earth-level martial arts. Since Li Fu Chen was here, the elder couldn't let him leave empty-handed, so he decided to give him a gift. The first elder used some of his power to cover the protagonist's body with amazing strength. The teacher revealed that this was Wen's method, which allowed him to dramatically increase his strength, increasing his survivability several times over. A month later, the disciples had to leave the secret realm of Qi Wu, and it seemed that the realm would be closed for a long time. The main character suddenly heard the voice of his soul, telling Li Fu Chen that he should be careful. Now that the secret realm of Qi Wu has left this place, chaos will descend upon the eastern continent of Lin. Patriarch Tiansha laughed and told the elders that the Qi Wu sects had left, and now they would not be able to protect Li Fu Chen. Wu Yang said that the situation did not look good. The man was worried that the Tiansha sect would take advantage of the situation and attack him. The main character understood that he was still too weak. He was sure that in 10 years, he would have enough strength to protect himself. A few days later, the two patriarchs and their guards stood facing each other, waiting for the first words to be spoken. Patriarch Tiansha told Wu Wentian that Li Fu Chen had killed his son, so it was worth handing him over to Tiansha. Wu Wentian told Li Gutai that he had no evidence to accuse him, so Li Fu Chen would not be handed over. The patriarch said he had been polite, but Wu Wentian had refused, so he would resort to force. The 4th layer of the heavenly sphere, the first elder of the Tiansha sect, Li Fei He, told the old man Wu Yang that 10 years ago, he was not strong enough to even be his opponent, but today, he would learn his lesson. The third layer of the heavenly sphere, the first elder of the Kangla sect, Ouyang Tai, was about to fight him. The sky became brighter than ever, and the elders of the Kangla and Tiansha sects entered the battle, painting everything in a different color. Ouyang Tai used a secret sword technique, 10,000 swords aimed at the enemy. The elder tried to defend himself, using the fist of the heavenly devil, covering himself with the aura of a demon. The younger brother stepped in to help Ouyang Tai, and they unleashed twice as many swords on the enemy. Li Tian summoned his demon and destroyed 10,000 swords, saying that trying to unite against him was a disgrace. The patriarch noticed how Li Tian activated his power, so Wu Tian did the same. Li Tian had to withdraw his power, saying that he would renounce his words for the time being. After that, the patriarch turned around and began to leave, ordering the elders to follow him. In the city of Tishan, a ritual was taking place, with masked people holding sectarians on their knees, raising swords above their necks. The organizer of this ritual declared that the results were not so bad, ordering the witches to bring the next set of sacrifices. The elder guardian, Si Wang Song, of the 8th layer of destruction of the earth, appeared and said that he would not allow the witches to do as they pleased. Based on the rules of the Kangla sect, if they did not remove the array, they would be executed without burial. The masked warrior took the dusty sphere and told the guardian to think about his own safety first. The next day, the elder was found dead. His body dried up, and he was in the middle of the sect. The patriarch said that the forces of the Tao demon, which used human blood for alchemy, must be suppressed. Li Fuchen learned that the forces of the Tao demon had decided to show their fangs, and more than 5 million people had been injured or killed in the Kangla sect. The sect member added that the elders had been called upon to suppress the forces of Tao, but they were very cunning. Today, the patriarch ordered the disciples to go out and practice. The main character turned to the patriarch and the great elder, saying that he wanted to go out onto the battlefield. The elder said that Li Fuchen should not worry about it. He should cultivate in peace and try to reach the heavenly realm. Li Fuchen believed that cultivation was important for everyone, but seeing the forces of the Tao demon raging around him was contrary to his principles. The patriarch replied that if that was the case, Elder Qin Ming and Shu Chang, who were in the heavenly realm, would go with him. Once in the Cloud City, Elder Qin gave Li Fuchen a small bag. While they were chatting, the protagonist sensed some movement nearby. The elder realized that they were masters of the Tao demon martial arts, but Li Fuchen suggested observing them first. Shu Chang said that he would deliver this message to the guardian elder Mao by breaking a stone in his hands. Guardian Mao learned that the forces of the Tao demon had appeared in the peaceful palace, the city of clouds, and the city of mist at the same time. Mao rushed forward, as it was more important to protect the people of the peaceful palace city first. The elders were going to capture the Tao demons, not allowing the masters to enter the cities, but they easily fought them off. Li Fuchen was horrified. Among the demons were 2 masters at the peak of the heavenly sphere. More sectarians headed to defend the city entrance, and the demon told Jin Zhu to block them. Jin to rush forward, swung his sword, and immediately disarmed the sect members in front of him. The elders Qin and Shu were on the guiding bird with Li Fuchen. The main character suggested descending to attack. The bird swooped down as it descended. Li Fuchen struck the demon, and then the bird soared into the air again. The elders jumped off the bird and delivered a joint blow that killed the already wounded demon. The second Tao demon rushed to defend his ally, but Elder Qin blocked the attack. Li Fuchen, meanwhile, directed the bird to attack, charging his sword with power for a long-range explosion. The bird rammed its opponent with its beak, forcing it to expend energy on defense. Li Fuchen's sword reached the required power, shooting at the sect member with a burst of golden power. This attack was not enough to kill the demon, who said that death meant nothing to him. Li Fuchen decided to attack him again, lunging forward and cutting off the enemy's head with a deft swing. Kangla's sect members noticed Li Fuchen, saying that they could not lose this battle with him. On his way, the main character killed another Tao demon with burning heavens that extinguished the earth. The elders Qin and Shu fought the demons, protecting the disciples, when suddenly the martial arts master of the heavenly sphere rushed towards Li Fuchen. As soon as Qin and Shu decided to help the main character, the Tao demon needed only 1 blow to knock them back. The demon of the heavenly sphere jumped into the air, releasing a wave of his power, aimed at Li Fuchen. The main character counterattacked the Tao demon with the heavenly flaming sword technique, breaking the cut. The heavenly sphere practitioner noticed that Li Fuchen had reached the peak of the 4th layer of the heavenly sphere, but he still couldn't escape from the soul cutter. The main character defeated the Tao demon. 60% of the energy of the bronze sword combined with the pure yang element has the same power as the secret 6-star techniques. Li Fuchen returned, and Elder Qin hoped that he had rescue items from the Qi Wu sect. The Tao demon noticed how the elders lowered their guard, saying that they couldn't just chat. 3 more demons surrounded the main character, but Li Fuchen was not worried, smashing the demon's face with his knee. One of the Tao masters took off his mask and shouted, causing a spear of divine blood to appear. The main character thought this was bad. He couldn't use his bronze sword carelessly against such experienced masters. Li Fuchen decided to use the Earth-level battle mark given to him by his master of the Qi Wu sect. The Taoist master declared that their plan for destruction had failed only because of Li Fuchen, who was in the sphere of Earth destruction. The main character asked the elders to focus on the battle with the masks, while he would deal with the rest. The demon added that the Earth-level battle mark on Li Fu Chen was very strong, but he would not be able to use it for too long. It was worth waiting for this enhancement to wear off and killing him in one fell swoop. Li Fu Chen caught the demons off guard, as he had no intention of running away. On the contrary, the master went straight into battle. With one sword strike, 2 masters were killed, revealing the main character's power even more. In the hands of one of the corpses, Li Fu Chen noticed a small bag that immediately caught his interest. Opening the bag, the main character's mouth fell open in surprise, for inside was a spirit stone.